Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. It's a part 1 of What If Naruto was teleported to the Westeros. Now let's begin. The Orange Flash in Westeros. The Fourth Shinobi War raged on as Madara's army fought against the allied shinobi forces. Madara and Kabuto raised an army using dead ninja and forced the allied forces to face against people they once called friends and family. The war continued. Madara was close to his goal of curing the world until Naruto Uzumaki stopped him. In a final battle to be forever remembered, Naruto and the reanimated Hokages of the past fought against Madara and Obito and eventually the 10-tailed beast. Eventually the fight came down to Naruto against Madara and neither one was going to give up. "Just give up, child, can't you see it? I will save this world," Madara told Naruto as he was holding his side in some pain from the last Rasengan. "So will I, but this world doesn't need your kind of help," Naruto said as Madara prepared to launch one final attack, and Naruto did too. Naruto's father, Minato, was able to separate his half of Kurama's from himself and give it to Naruto. Naruto, in his fully powered nine-tails state, readied the strongest Rasen Shuriken Biju Bomb to clash with Madara's Susanoo. When the attacks clashed, it caused an energy shockwave so strong that everyone in the elemental nations and beyond could feel it. Madara's Susanoo couldn't stand against the power and he was killed by the sheer force of the blast and disintegrated. Naruto smiled as his handiwork but then felt something odd. He then felt his heart beat erratically and he started to cough up blood. He fell to his knees in pain as blood dripped from his mouth and his vision blurred. Naruto knew he was going to die, but he was okay with that. As long as the world was safe, he was okay to die. He fell forward and closed his eyes as his heart finally stopped. Kami took pity on the boy, seeing him die to save a world and people that originally hated him. Kami saw the strength in the boy and decided he should get it another life. So Kami opens a portal and Naruto's body is pulled through. Naruto weakly opened his eyes only to see shining light. He heard a voice, a soft voice. "The child of destiny, your job with your world is done." "I won? Everyone is safe?" Naruto asked. "Yes, your selfless sacrifice saved your world. But your body and soul cannot survive there. You have been granted another chance to live," Kami said. "Another chance? To start all over? That would be nice," Naruto smiled. "Yes, you will bring upon great change in Westeros," Kami said as Naruto was transported to his new home. Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark were riding back after the war against the Targaryens. They were both tired and wanted to go home. Then a bright flash of light startled them and their horses as they went crazy. They calmed their horses down to see what they didn't think was possible. A portal formed from the light and a body fell out and hit the ground. The portal instantly closed, but not before it sent a bright flash of light into the sky, and the second it did that, a sword fell from the sky and landed next to the boy. Ned and Robert got off their horses and ran to the boy to find him unconscious and bloody. He was tall, around 6 feet 2 inches. He had blonde hair, 6 whisker marks on his cheeks, and his orange outfit was shredded, showing some of the cuts and wounds. "It's a young man, he's unconscious," Ned said. "What happened to him?" Robert asked. "I don't know, but he needs help," Ned said as Robert picked up the boy and put him one of the spare horses. Ned then grabbed the sword that fell and they left for King's Landing. Winter is coming. Line break. XXXXX years have passed since Naruto Uzumaki arrived in Westeros. When Naruto woke up, he was lightly bandaged and saw a very elaborate and decorated room. Then 2 men known as Eddard Stark and Robert Baratheon came in and talked to him. Naruto then figured out he appeared to them from a portal and they took him to King's Landing to recover, which they noted as extremely fast. Ned and Robert were shocked at the boy's healing rate. He was special. Ned and Robert asked what happened to him to arrive by the way he did. Naruto knew they wouldn't believe the whole truth, so withheld some details. He did tell them he was a shinobi, or in their tongue, a warrior, and that he was special. Boy, did they wet their pants when Naruto showed them his shadow clone jutsu. Robert thought he practiced magic, since it was the only way to explain how he could do the things he could do. But magic was believed to be extinct. Naruto went along with that as a cover, and the two bought it. Ned and Robert tended to the boy and they grew fond of him and vice versa. Naruto even went on a hunt with them and he even saved Robert's life from bandits. Luckily enough, Naruto had still had Kurama with him, and the fox was happy that they got a new beginning. Kurama could tell that this world was ripe with battles and adventures. During his time in King Landing, Kurama encouraged Naruto to soak in everything he could about their new home, and Naruto begrudgingly did. He learned the Westeros history, customs and soon became a master of their warfare. With the help of his shadow clones, Naruto became a master of combat, besting Ned in sword fighting and was a master archer. Ned then gave Naruto the sword that appeared when he came into their world. The sword was similar to Ned's Valyrian steel great sword but was a little smaller. Its crossguard was smaller and curved and the blade was not as wide as Ned's but just as long. The grip was dark orange and crimson. The blade was jet black and the end of the grip had Kurama's face on it. Naruto figured it was a gift from Kami. Naruto tested it and it was much sharper and stronger than Valyrian steel. Naruto called it Kyuubi in honor of Kurama, and his face was on the hilt. Robert's rule as king went with relative peace, but he was getting too comfortable and putting on a lot of weight. Robert asked Ned to look out in the north and stand watch in Winterfell. Naruto volunteered to go with him to help Ned watch over the north as repayment for taking care of him. Line break XXXXX start of the TV show canon in one of the training courtyards in Winterfell. Bran was practicing his archery skills with the help of Jon and Robb while Ned and Kat watched. Bran's first attempt, he missed and hits a barrel on the side. Bran was frustrated at this and everyone could see it. Jon then pat him on the shoulder, "Go on. Father's watching, and your mother," Jon said as Bran looked to see Ned and Kat smiling at him. Bran then pulled another arrow back but his bow arm was unsteady and when he released the arrow, it flew over the target and hit the trees. Jon and Robb laughed as Bran was getting more frustrated. "And which one of you was a marksman at 10? Ned asked, as the others stopped laughing but still smiled. "Keep practicing, Bran. Go on. Don't think too much, Bran," Jon said as Bran pulled back an arrow. "Relax your bow arm," Robb said as Bran tried. Before Bran could fire, another arrow zoomed past them and hit the dead center of the target. They turned to see Arya with a bow. She smiled and gave a curtsy, but before Bran could act, the knife flew through the air and sliced her arrow in half. "Not bad, Arya. Not bad," Naruto said, hanging upside down with his legs hooked on the ceiling. He then flipped and landed next to her and pat her on the head as she smiled. "For the record, Ned, I was a marksman at 10. Naruto said as he walked out to join Bran and the others as Ned and Kat smiled. "Bran, you're thinking too much. Relax your mind, it must come to you like reading or walking. Think of it as an extension of your will," Naruto told Bran. Naruto then grabbed his bow and fired an arrow at the second target, hitting the dead center. He then drew a second arrow and hit the same spot, splitting that arrow in half. "See?" Bran smiled as Naruto helped him and Robb and Jon smiled as well. But the smile on Ned's face was the most notable. Years have passed since he and Robert found Naruto and he has grown. He has become quite the strapping young man, but hasn't aged as much as the others. Naruto told him his magic makes his age slower. Despite that, Naruto is family to Ned and the others think so as well. All the Starks are very fond of Naruto. Kat sees him as a son and the others see as his family. He is like a big brother to Arya and Bran, mentoring them, looking out for them and making sure they stay safe. Naruto had helped raise the Starks and they all admired him, especially Jon, Robb and Sansa. He and Sansa were particularly close, and they suspected that they had feelings for one another. Naruto was a Stark in all but blood and he vowed he would do whatever to protect them. Sir Roderick then appeared to deliver some sour news. "Lord Stark, milady. The guardsmen just came in from the hills. They've captured a deserter from the Night's Watch," Roderick said as Ned became serious. "Get the lads to saddle their horses," Ned told Greyjoy who nodded and left. "Do you have to?" Kat asked, not wanting them to go through with it. He swore an oath, Kat. Ned told her. "Law is law, milady," Roderick said as she just shook her head. "Tell Bran he's coming too," Ned said, as Kat was against the idea. "Ned, 10 is too young to see such things," Kat told him. "He won't be a boy forever," And winter is coming, Ned said as he went back over to Naruto and the others. Naruto, let's go, Ned said as Naruto nodded and left to get his things. Naruto rode with the Starks, now changed into his proper attire. He wore clothes similar to that of Ned and John but was black with shades of crimson and orange mixed in. He also had spiked, metal vambraces on his forearms, his headband tied to his belt and his jade necklace around his neck. They arrived and got off their horses as the guards brought the deserter to them. They placed him before Lord Stark and Naruto as the deserter kept repeating something. I know I broke my oath, and I know I'm a deserter. I should have gone back to the wall to warn them, but I saw what I saw. I saw White Walkers. People need to know. If you can get word to my family, tell them I'm a coward. Tell them I'm sorry, the man said as Ned motioned the guards to place his head on the execution log. Ned then grabbed his sword and stabbed into the ground and spoke as John told Bran not to look away. Ned spoke his title and the sentence of death and executed the deserter. Ned then went over to Bran to talk to him as Naruto thought about what the deserter said. Kurama told Naruto that the deserter was not lying, not that it alone is not enough to prove the deserter's points, but it does raise an issue. If the White Walkers were back, why now? They have been gone for thousands of years. Naruto would need to look into this or it would come back to hurt them. He would send a shadow clone to the wall to see if he could find evidence. One lucky gift of shadow clones is that they make the perfect spy network. And Naruto followed in the same path as Pervy Sage and had his own spy network in Westeros and Essos. If knowledge was power, he would be the most powerful man in the land. They all rode back to Winterfell, but along the way they spotted a dead and eviscerated stag corpse. Naruto got off his horse first and inspected it as Ned soon followed. What is it? John asked. Mountain lion, Theon guessed. No mountain lions in these woods, Ned said. Must have happened recently, real recently, Naruto said, referring to the stench and how long the body decayed. Naruto then saw a trail, leading from the woods to the river, and he followed it. Ned and the others followed. They walked along the path and what they saw shocked them. The corpse of a dead direwolf mother. She was killed by a stag, but she gave birth as she had 5 pups near her body. Naruto got close and checked on the pups and they were healthy. The pups took a liking to him and they moved near him as he gave them some water from his pouch. Ned was shocked to see this as he got closer, thinking it was an illusion. It's a freak, Greyjoy said. It's a direwolf, soulful beast, Ned said as he pulled out the stag antlers pierced into the corpse. There are no direwolves south of the wall, Robb said. Now there are 5, Naruto said as he picked on up and handed him to Bran. What, to hold it? Where will they go? Their mother's dead, Bran asked as the pup got comfortable in his arms. They don't belong down here, Roderick said. Ned said to have them killed as Bran protested. John then raised the point that the pups could be a sign. The direwolf was the symbol of their house and there were 5 pups for each of the Stark children. Ned thought about this. He looked at Naruto who nodded and Ned agreed, but the children would have to look after them. Robb and Theon grabbed the remaining 4 pups as they left, but Naruto found one more, much smaller than the rest. He decided to give him to John, who smiled and thanked him. Naruto smiled as they got back to their horses but wondered if the direwolf was really a sign that something big was going to happen to Westeros and to the Starks. Line break XXXXX in King's Landing. Bells from the tower could be heard throughout the city as they were mourning the death of Jon Arryn, the hand of the king who had passed. Cersei Lannister watched in the chamber as priests were conducting death rites for Jon. Jaime Lannister, her brother, walked up beside her. As your brother, I feel that it's my duty to warn you. You worry too much, it's starting to show, Jaime said. And you never worry about anything. When we were 7 we jumped off the cliffs at Castle Rock, 100-foot drop into the water. You were never afraid, Cersei said. There was nothing to be afraid of until you told father. Lannisters don't act like fools, Jaime said, mimicking his father. What if Jon Arryn told someone? Cersei asked. But who would he tell? Jaime asked. My husband, Cersei said. If he told the king, both our heads would be skewered on the city gates by now. Whatever Jon Arryn knew or didn't know died with him. Then Robert will hire a new hand, someone to do his job while he's out fucking boars and hunting whores. Or is it the other way around, and life will go on, Jaime said. You should be the hand of the king, Cersei said. That's an honor I could do without. The days are too long, their lives are too short. Jaime said as they looked at Jon's body, unaware that a cloaked figure, in the shadows, heard them. The figure didn't know what secret Aaron knew, but the Lannisters were behind it. Line break XXXXX. Back in Winterfell, a raven flew overhead and landed in the city with a parchment attached to its leg. Kat was walking through the city to find her husband while Naruto was busy training. He was in the courtyard set up with 9 training targets. He was blindfolded as children came over to watch him. They were excited to wonder what Naruto, the Orange Flash of Westeros, would do. How he got his name, you'll find out. Naruto relaxed his body as he moved his hands to grab his remaining kunai off his belt. He then threw one at the target in front of him, then threw 2 to his right and left, threw 2 more at each pair as they flew through the air. The kunai ricocheted off each other and each hit the dead center of the target, except one which bounced and heading straight for his head. Naruto then disappeared in an orange flash and the kunai sailed through the air and hit the last remaining target. The flash appeared again and Naruto was back in the training ground. He took off his blindfold and smiled as his work. His aim was perfect as ever and his Hirishin was flawless. Naruto whistled to himself as he plucked the kunai out of the targets and then flashed to the tool shed to grab his Hirishin kunai he placed there and teleported back. The children clapped and cheered as Naruto reappeared, amazed at the magic he could do. Naruto chuckled as he prepared his bow for archery training when he heard a voice. Naruto, there you are. Naruto turned to see Sansa. Sansa, you were looking for me? Naruto asked as she joined him. Yes, I was looking for you. Mother told me a raven from King's Landing came in. The king is coming, Sansa said. Robert, must be something important, Naruto said as he fired an arrow in the dead center of the target. Mother wants everyone to prepare for his arrival, Sansa said. Of course, but Robert has some time before he arrives and if needed my clones can make sure everything is ready, Naruto said with a smile as Sansa blushed. Come, you try, Naruto said, holding out his bow. Oh, Naruto, I don't know, I never fired one before, Sansa said. Then try, I would have you defend yourself should the time come when I'm not by your side, Naruto said as Sansa agreed and held the bow. Now hold the bow steady, draw the arrow back and release, Naruto told her as she did. She struggled to pull the arrow back and when she released it flew way off course. Well, we have more work to do, Naruto said as he gave her another arrow. Now try again, but relax, breathe. Everything you do, breathe, Naruto said as Sansa calmed down and slowed her breathing and pulled the arrow back. When she released it, it hit the target but was still way off from the center. Better, Naruto said as Sansa smiled. Kat came into the courtyard and saw Naruto and Sansa together and smiled, but they needed to get ready. Naruto, Sansa, it's time for dinner, Kat said as they both agreed. Naruto put his bow back and they went to eat. For the next few weeks, Winterfell was busy with workers and cooks getting ready for King Robert's arrival. Kat had the workers prepare the rooms for the royal family to be perfect. The boys had to be shaven and groomed before they were presented to the king, except for Naruto, who would handle his own grooming. Naruto shortened his hair so it was back to the length he had it when he was back in his world. Think his hair length in Shippuden. The castle was very serious today as Robert would arrive. Bran had climbed up the walls that surrounded Winterfell and saw the king and his caravan approach. Bran then ran over the wall and climbed down to where Naruto and Bran's direwolf were waiting. Naruto smiled as he saw Bran's climbing skill getting better and better. Kat was walking through Winterfell and saw Naruto and Bran's direwolf staring at something. Gods, but they grow fast, Kat said, seeing how big the pup got in such a short time. She then turned to see Bran climbing down. Brandon. I saw the king, he's got hundreds of people, Bran said excited as he climbed down. How many times have I told you, no climbing, Kat scolded him. I lost count after 20, Naruto said as Kat shook her head. But he's coming right now. Down our road, Bran said as he climbed down and Naruto moved to help him. I want you to promise me, now more climbing, Kat told him. She right, Bran. You shouldn't be climbing at your age, Naruto said as Kat smiled. Wait until you're older, then I'll help you, Naruto said as he and Bran chuckled. Naruto, don't say that, Kat said, but really, Bran. What have I told you? Naruto asked. Don't climb anything that looks too dangerous unless you're here, Bran said with a smile. That's my boy, now go get ready. Robert'll be here soon, Naruto said as Bran ran off to get change. Of course, now run and find your father. Tell him he's close, Kat yelled as she then looked at Naruto. You shouldn't encourage him to climb, Naruto. Don't worry, Kat. Bran is good, but should something happen I'll be there, Naruto said, holding up a Hirishin marker. Kat smiled. Go find Arya. She must be off to mischief right now, Kat said. Got it, Naruto said as he disappeared in a flash. The king and his caravan galloped through the gates of Winterfell as everyone was trying to catch a glimpse of the king. Arya, who was wearing a steel guardsman helmet, squeezed through the crowd and climbed up a wagon to get a better look. She saw the first group of horses ride by, carrying the banners of the House Lannister. Naruto then appeared behind her and picked her up. Here you are, Arya. Come, your mother is worried, Naruto told her. Mother's always worried, Arya complained. She just loves you so much. Now, go on. Your family's waiting for you, Naruto told her as he pat her head and she ran off to join her family. She ran to join her family but Ned stopped her. Hey, what are you going with that on? Ned asked as he took off her helmet and handed it to Sir Roderick. He then pushed her towards the end and she stood next to Bran and Sansa. Where is Naruto? Ned asked Kat. I sent him after Arya, but he should be here, Kat whispered as they then saw Naruto near the back, who nodded. They nodded back as Naruto joined them and he stood next to Kat. The royal caravan entered the courtyard with Jaime Lannister in the front and Prince Joffrey behind him. Joffrey had this smug look on his face as he smiled at Sansa, who was hesitant to return it. Then the next person to walk in was a large man on a horse with growling dog helmet on his head. He opened it to reveal he was Sandor Clegane, the Hound. Then the royal carriage entered and behind that was King Robert. Naruto raised an eyebrow. He was a lot fatter than when you last saw him. Everyone then kneeled as Robert rode up to them. A squire brought over a stool to help Robert off his horse. Robert then walked over to a kneeling Ned and motioned him to stand up. Everyone did as Robert stared at Ned and vice versa. Everyone felt the tension between the two, thinking something bad was going to happen. Your Grace, Ned said as he bowed his head. You got fat, Robert said as the others were shocked while Naruto had to control himself from laughing out loud. Ned then looked at Robert's belly with a raised eyebrow and then the two broke out laughing and hugged each other. Cat, Robert said as they hugged. 9 years, why have I not seen you? Where the hell have you been? Robert asked. Guarding the north for you, your grace. Winterfell is yours, Ned said as Queen Cersei stepped down from her carriage. King Robert then talked with the other Stark children before he went up to Naruto. Naruto, you have been doing well, I hope, Naruto said with a smile. Better than you could have imagined, your grace, Naruto said as the two hugged. My lady, Naruto said to the queen. Show some respect for the queen, you cur, Jaime threatened as he grabbed his sword. I would advise caution with your words, Kingslayer, Naruto warned him. Besides, that is respectful in my book. Even to your queen, Jaime threatened. Pretty much, Naruto said as Ned just shook his head. The other guards prepared to draw swords. Naruto saw this but looked at the helmet Jaime had on. He then disappeared in an orange flash and everyone except the Starks and Robert was shocked. Not bad, a voice said as Jaime turned to see Naruto sitting on the royal carriage and holding Jaime's helmet. Jaime blinked at the loss of his helmet and saw Naruto flick it with his finger. Not bad at all. Not as good as Kyuubi but a close second, Naruto said. Give me back my helmet, Jaime ordered. Okay, Naruto said as he flipped over the carriage and landed next to Robert. Naruto then threw the helmet over his shoulder and it landed backwards on his head and he bent forward in the sudden weight drop. His arms flailed as he tried to balance himself. Ned, Robert and the Starks chuckled at this. Why you? Jaime was interrupted as his sword disappeared from his hands. He looked around, trying to find where his sword went. Looking for this, Naruto said, showing that he had Jaime's sword in his hands. That's enough, Naruto. Ned, take me to your crypts. I want to pay my respects. You too, boy, Robert said as Naruto and Ned nodded. We've been riding for a month, my love, Surely the dead can wait. Cersei told him, but he ignored her. Ned, Robert ordered as Ned apologized to the queen, and Ned followed, and so did Naruto. Oh, here you go, Kingslayer, Naruto said as he threw the sword into the ground near Jaime's feet. Line break XXXXX. Robert, Ned and Naruto were walking through the crypts as Ned asked what happened to Jon Arryn. Tell me about Jon Arryn, Ned asked. 1 minute he was fine, and then burned right through him, whatever it was. I loved that man, Robert said. We all did, Ned said. Robert then mentioned how much of an influence Jon had on him as Ned and Naruto chuckled at the tale. He then stopped and got serious. I need you, Ned. Down in King's Landing, not up here where you're of no damn use to anybody. Lord Eddard Stark, I would name you the Hand of the King, Robert said as Ned then kneeled. I'm not worthy of the honor, Ned said as Robert chuckled. I'm not trying to honor you. I'm trying to get you to run my kingdom while I eat, drink and whore my way to an early grave, Robert said as he and Naruto chuckled. Damn it, Ned, stand up. You helped me win the Iron Throne, now help me keep the damn thing. We were meant to rule together. If your sister had lived, we'd have been bound by blood. Well, it's not too late. I have a son, you have a daughter. We'll join our houses, Robert said as he kept walking while Ned and Naruto were taken back by the news. Robert, perhaps it would be best to hold off on any marriage for now, Naruto told Robert. Why? Robert asked. Robert knew Naruto well enough that when the blonde advised caution, it was to be heard. It seems rushed. Jon Arryn is dead, and I don't think it was by fate, Naruto said as Robert and Ned understood what he was implying. Why would you say that? Ned asked. I learned that Jon had discovered something he wasn't supposed to. About the throne, and someone killed him to keep it quiet. Whoever did this is after the Iron Throne, and if we make any hasty decisions we may play our hands right into it, Naruto said as Robert and Ned thought about this for a second. What do you propose? Robert asked. Hold off on the union between your two houses. I do not know who killed Jon or what secret he learned, but someone will do anything to make sure it doesn't come into the light of day. For now we should be smart. With Ned as the Hand of the King, we can find out what Jon did and stop whoever was behind this, Naruto said, not mentioning the Lannisters because he couldn't risk Robert accidentally spilling the news or Cersei overhearing their plans. He wanted the Lannisters in the dark until he could do more research. All right, but you will come with us to King's Landing to aid Ned and find out who is behind this, Robert said. Of course, Naruto replied. They continued to walk through the crypts until they reached the grave of Lyanna Stark. Robert's mood turned somber as he missed his love. Did you have to bury her in a place like this? Robert asked. She should be on a hill somewhere with the sun and the clouds above her. She was my sister. This is where she belongs, Ned replied. She belonged with me. In my dreams, I kill him every night, Robert said. It's done, Your Grace. The Targaryens are gone, Ned said. Not all of them, Robert said in anger. Naruto knew what he was talking about. The two remaining Targaryens were in Essos trying to amass an army to take back the throne. Naruto had a spy over there monitoring the situation and to report back what happens. Line break XXXXX. Cat was with Sansa, getting her ready for the party. Do you think father will make me marry Joffrey? Sansa asked. I don't know. I thought you wouldn't mind that, Cat said as she fixed her hair. I wouldn't mind marrying a prince, but Joffrey, something about him, disgusts me, Sansa said. I know, what brought upon this new look and behavior? Cat asked, happy to see your daughter more mature. Naruto, he's been a great friend. He's made me change. Now I want a man who will look out for me and love me for me, Sansa said as she blushed a little. Yes, Naruto has affected us all, Cat said with a smile. Come, let's go to the party. The festivities were at an all-time high. Wine and ale was drank as food came out of the kitchen. The people were talking and drinking their troubles away as Robert getting drunk and kissing the whores. Cersei looked at him with disgust as the pig of a man she married kissed other women. Jon and Naruto were in the courtyard, doing some more training. Naruto was ducking and dodging as Jon tried to swipe at him with his sword. Jon missed every time but came close on more than one occasion. Jon then thrust his sword, but Naruto caught the blade between his hands. He then flicked and poked Jon's hands, causing him to let go of the sword, and Naruto held it at his neck. Not bad, Jon, Naruto said with a smile as he handed Jon his sword back. I still haven't cut you, Jon said. I doubt anyone in this land could cut me, but keep training and maybe one day you might, Naruto said as he patted Jon on the shoulder. You're Ned Stark's bastard, aren't you? A voice said as they turned to see a small man leaning against a wall and walk up to them. Who wants to know? Jon asked. Tyrion Lannister, the small man said, introducing himself. Tywin Lannister's son, Naruto said. Not how people usually know me, but yes, Tyrion said. An honor to meet you. The one Lannister I believe I cannot hate, Naruto joked as he shook Tyrion's hand. Ah, you must be that Naruto fellow my brother complained about. He wouldn't shut up at how a boy took his helmet and sword without him looking, Tyrion joked. My bad, but I'm called the Orange Flash for a reason. And you should tell that brother of yours to pull the stick out of his ass, Naruto said as Tyrion and Jon laughed. I will do so, but that is harder than you might think, Tyrion said. Well, if you excuse me, I must eat, Naruto said as he left and waved goodbye. Naruto entered the dining hall to see the festivities in full swing. Everyone was having a merry time, including Robert, who was getting too frisky with the maids. Naruto just shook his head. He then grabbed a cup of water and an apple and walked past the queen and Cat. Cat, your grace, Naruto said as he bowed and then threw his apple up and then caught it and took a bit. Cat just chuckled as Cersei looked at her. That boy, Naruto, he's an interesting one, Cersei said as they saw Naruto sit next to Sansa, who smiled and moved closer to him. Yes, he is. He's the most caring young man you can ever meet and yet be as strong and ruthless as possible if the ones he cares for are in trouble, Kat said with a smile as she saw Sansa giggle as Naruto talked to her. She leaned next to him, her head on his shoulder as Arya laughed as well. Arya then flicked some food over at Sansa, but Naruto used a plate to block it. He gave her a look as she chuckled. Naruto then nodded at Robb, who understood, and took Arya to bed. The festivities had ended as many of the drunks had fallen asleep and Ned and Kat retired to their bed. Kat was complaining that she didn't want him to go to King's Landing. Then they heard a knock on the door and it was Naruto. Ned told Naruto to come in as Naruto seemed to have a look on his face. Forgive me, Ned, Kat, but a rider came in the night from your sister. He had this, Naruto said, giving Kat the note. Kat read the note and then threw it in the fire. What news? Ned asked. She's fled the capital. She says Jon Arryn was murdered by the Lannisters. She says the king is in danger, Kat said as Ned didn't know what to think while Naruto figured he was right. Cersei and Jaime are behind this, if not Tywin was. Naruto, is this what you spoke of? Ned asked. Yes, I found out the Lannisters were involved in the Arryn's death, but I could not risk letting them find out, which is why I kept that part to myself, Naruto said. If this news is true and the Lannisters conspire against the throne, who but you can protect the king? They murdered the last hand, now you want Ned to take the job, Kat said. If they Lannisters want the throne, Ned and I are the only ones who can protect Robert and expose their treachery. If we stand idle and do nothing, I fear for Westeros, Naruto said as Ned was deep in thought. Line break XXXXX. The next morning, the king, Ned and everyone else were preparing for a hunt. Naruto was fixing his saddle as he saw Ned still deep in thought. The revelation over what the Lannisters had done struck him hard, but he knew he and Naruto were the only ones who could protect the king. Naruto then joined Ned as the two were on their horses and Robert rode over. You as good with a spear as you used to be? Robert asked. No, but I'm still better than you, Ned said as they chuckled. I know what I'm putting you through. Thank you for saying yes. I only asked because I need you. You're a loyal friend. You hear me? Loyal friend. One of the last I've got, Robert said as he looked at Naruto, who smiled back. I hope I serve you well, Ned said. You will, and I'll make sure you don't look so fucking grim all the time, Robert said as he chuckled. Good luck with that, Naruto joked. They left on their hunting trip as Bran got back to climbing. He climbed up the old lookout tower with great skill, and as he reached the top he heard a woman moaning. He climbed over to the window and was shocked to see what he saw. Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister were together with him, thrusting into her from behind, and she was taking it like a dog in heat. Jaime pulled his sister into his chest as he kissed her neck, but Cersei saw Bran in the window as he tried to climb down, but Jaime grabbed him. "Are you completely mad?" Jaime asked. "He saw us," Cersei said in a panicked state. "Quiet the little climber, aren't you? How old are you?" Jaime asked. 10. Bran answered, nervous. 10. Jaime said as he looked at Cersei. "The things I do for love," Jaime said as he pushed Bran out the window, causing him to fall. The mark on Bran's neck grew red as it sent out a message back to Naruto that Bran was in trouble. Naruto, who was on his horse riding with the others, felt the mark go off. He looked back to Winterfell and worried the worst. "Bran," Naruto said as he flashed back to Winterfell. Bran was falling to the ground. On the way, his head hit the stone wall. But before he hit the ground, an orange flash appeared and Naruto appeared in the air and caught him, then tucked and rolled on the ground, holding Bran close. "Bran! Bran! Can you hear me?" Naruto shouted as blood dripped from Bran's head wound and he was unconscious. Naruto shouted for help as servants came to see what happened and saw Naruto holding an unconscious Bran. Naruto then picked up Bran and flashed back to the castle to the medical room. Jaime and Cersei saw this and were worried that Bran and possibly Naruto knew their secret. Naruto took Bran to the medical room as a doctor came to look over him. Naruto did an energy scan over his body using his chakra and didn't find any bad injuries such as broken bones or ruptured organs. He was in a coma because he hit his head hard, but he would wake up soon. Kat came in and saw Bran, but Naruto assured her he was safe. She thanked him for saving Bran, but Naruto told her he promised to protect the Starks with his life. After a few hours of checking on Bran, Naruto went for a walk. Kat stayed with Bran, waiting for him to wake up. Naruto walked out to the stables and saw Joffrey with the Hound as his bodyguard talking to Tyrion. He got closer and heard what Joffrey was saying. "My mother's been looking for you. We ride for King's Landing today," Joffrey said. "Before you go, you will call on Lord and Lady Stark and offer your sympathies," Tyrion told Joffrey. "What good will my sympathies do them?" Joffrey asked, smugly. "None, but it is expected of you. Your absence has already been noted," Tyrion told him. "Boy means nothing to me," Joffrey said as he looked at the Hound. "Besides, I can't stand the wailing of women." Joffrey was cut off as Tyrion slapped him in the face hard. "One word and I hit you again," Tyrion said. "I'm telling mother," Joffrey said, but before Tyrion could hit him, Naruto appeared and kicked him in the back, sending him flying into the mud. Joffrey groaned in pain as the kick was extremely strong and bruised his back. "Now listen here, Joffrey. I don't care if you're the Crown Prince or God himself, you will offer your sympathies to Lord and Lady Stark or you will not find it enjoyable," Naruto ordered him, as Joffrey was both angry and scared. "I won't forget this," Joffrey said as he got up and ran away. "The prince will remember that, my lord," the Hound told Naruto. "It's a good lesson for him. If he forgets, be a good dog and remind him." Tyrion mocked him as he and Naruto left. "Little shit, and to think he will sit on the throne," Naruto told Tyrion. "So, how does young Bran fare, Naruto?" Tyrion asked. "He will be fine. Luckily enough, I arrived just in time before he hit the ground. He did hit his head on the wall, but he will be fine. Not sure what he'll remember, but he will wake by tomorrow," Naruto told Tyrion. "I'm glad. Would you like to accompany me to breakfast?" Tyrion asked. "No, I must prepare for the trip to King's Landing. It was a pleasure to meet you, Lord Tyrion," Naruto said as he had his hand out. "And you, Naruto." Tyrion shook Naruto's hand. Tyrion entered the dining hall where the others were eating. He joined them and sat beside his brother. "Little brother," Jaime said. "Dear siblings," Tyrion said as he snagged a piece of bacon of Tommen's plate. "Is Bran going to die?" Myrcella asked. "Oh no, he will be fine," Tyrion said as Myrcella smiled as Cersei had a blank look on her face. "What do you mean?" Cersei asked. "I talked to Naruto and Bran should be fine by tomorrow. He was able to rescue Bran before any real damage could be done. Although what he will remember, Naruto has not idea," Tyrion said as Jaime and Cersei shared a gaze. "Charms of the North seem entirely lost on you," Tyrion told his sister. "Still can't believe you are going, it's ridiculous even for you," Cersei said. "Where is your sense of wonder? The greatest structure ever built. The intrepid men of the Night's Watch," the wintry abode of the White Walkers. Tyrion said, frightening Tommen and then tickling him. You are considering taking the Black, Tyrion? Jaime asked. And go celibate? Tyrion said, thinking Jaime was crazy. The whores would go begging from Dorne to Castle Rock. No, I just want to stand on top of the wall and piss off the edge of the world. Children don't need to hear you filth. Come, let's go, Cersei said as Tommen and Myrcella followed her out. Kat was watching over Bran as he slept in his bed. She was weaving some blessing figures for Bran. Naruto walked in and saw Kat still near Bran's bed. He went over to her and put a hand on her shoulder. Do not worry, he will wake by tomorrow. I guarantee it, Naruto said as Kat gave Naruto a small smile. Cersei then walked into the room as Kat got up and bowed and Naruto gave a small head bow and excused himself. He walked back into the courtyard and joined Jon, who was by the forger, inspecting a sword. Jon and Naruto loved the blade he forged and the blacksmith was just finishing the final touches. Jaime Lannister saw them and walked to them. A sword for the wall. Jaime asked. Already have one. Jon replied. Good man, have you swung it yet? Jaime asked. Of course I have. Jon said. It's someone I mean. Jaime said. Oh, he has, but has not landed a hit. But what can you do against the orange flash? Naruto said as he chuckled and Jon lightly punched him in the arm. I trust you'll find training is much different than fighting. Jaime said. We have protected the country for 800 years. Jon said. I'm sorry, have you taken your vows yet? Jaime asked. Soon enough, Jon replied. Give my regards to the Tower Watch, and if you fail, it's only for life. Jaime said with a smirk and left. Arrogant prick, Naruto said as he grabbed the finished sword and he and Jon went to find Arya. Arya was in her room repacking her clothes with the help of her direwolf, Nymeria. She put the clothes in her trunk as Naruto and Jon entered the room. I had it set for day but now I have to fold them again. My things weren't properly folded, she says. Who cares how they're folded, they're going to get all messed up anyway. Arya said in frustration. It's good you got help. Jon said looking at Nymeria who was sitting next to the bed. Watch, Nymeria, gloves. Arya said as Nymeria didn't move. Impressive, Jon said. Shut up, Nymeria, gloves. Arya said again as Nymeria just turned her head. We have something for you. Naruto said as he closed the door. And it has to be packed very carefully. A present, Arya said. Yup, Naruto said as he took off the cloth and showed her a small-sized sword. This is no toy, Naruto said as he unsheathed it to reveal a needle-like blade. Be careful you don't cut yourself. It's so skinny, she said. So are you. We had the blacksmith make it for you special. Won't hack a man's head off but it will poke him full of holes if you're quick enough. Jon said. I can be quick, Arya said. You'll have to train every day. But I know you will one day be a master. Naruto said as he hugged her and she then hugged Jon. Naruto returned to the stables and got his horse ready. He got on and saw Robb and Jon talk and then hugged goodbye like real brothers would. The ride back to King's Landing was a long one and on their way, the caravan split up. The king and his company to the capital while the others were heading to the wall. Naruto hugged Jon goodbye wishing him luck and told him he'd be watching over him. Ned then rode over to Jon to talk to him. It was a great honor to serve on the Night's Watch. Starks have manned the walls for thousands of years, and you are a Stark. You may not have my name but you have my blood, Ned said. Is my mother alive? Does she know about me, where I am, where I'm going? Does she care? Jon asked. The next time we see each other, we'll talk about your mother. I promise, Ned told him. Jon nodded and then Ned rode to catch up with the king's caravan while Jon rode with the others to the wall. The royal caravan kept moving until they stopped for rest in a nice, peaceful and scenic flatland. Robert and Ned were sitting together and eating as Naruto was with Sansa and Arya. God, this is country. I have half a mind to leave them all behind. I have half a mind to go with you. Ned said, what do you say, just you and me on the king's road, swords at our sides, couple of tavern wenches to warm our beds tonight. Robert said, if you'd have asked me 20 years ago. Ned chuckled. There were wars to fight, women to marry. Never had the chance to be young. Robert said, I recall a few chances. Ned said as they laughed. I swear if I wasn't your king you would have hit me already. Robert said, chuckling. The worst thing about your coronation, I'll never get to hit you again. Ned said as they laughed. Trust me, that's not the worst thing. Robert said as he handed Ned a note. There was a rider in the night. Ned read the note. Daenerys Targaryen has wed some Dothraki horse lord. What of it? Should we send her a wedding gift? Ned asked. A knife perhaps, a good sharp one, and a bold man to wield it. Robert said. She's little more than a child. Ned said. Soon enough that child will start spreading her legs and start breeding. Robert said. Please tell me we're not speaking of this. Ned said. Oh, it's unspeakable to you. What her father did to your family, that was unspeakable. What Rhaegar Targaryen did to your sister, the woman I loved. I'll kill every Targaryen I get my hands on. Robert said in anger. You can't get your hands on this one, can you? Ned asked. This Khal Drogo, it's said he has 100,000 men in his horde. Robert said. Even 1,000,000 Dothraki are no threat to the realm. As long as they remain on the other side of the narrow sea, they have no ships. Robert. Ned told Robert. There are still those in the 7 kingdoms who call me usurper. The Targaryen boy crosses with a Dothraki horde at his back, the scum will join him. Robert said. He will not cross, and if by chance he does, we'll throw him back into the sea. Ned said as Robert's anger didn't disappear. There's a war coming, Ned. I don't know when, I don't know who will be fighting, but it's coming. Robert told him. Line break XXXXX. Night had settled over Westeros as Cat was tending to Bran. She hadn't moved from her spot as she wove more good luck charms for him. Robb even stopped by to get her to rest, but she wouldn't move from her spot. Naruto told her he would wake up soon and she would be by his side when he did. Robb opened the window and they hear the direwolves moaning and howling in the night. Robb then realized there was a fire and ran to check on it. Then a man snuck into the room where Bran was and Cat saw that he was here to kill Bran. He grabbed a knife and moved to kill Bran, but Cat tried to stop him. She struggled as he choked her and tried to slit her throat, but then she disappeared. The man looked around and then saw a fist coming right for his head. The fist connected and he heard his nose crunch and he flew into the wall. The man saw the new threat. It was Naruto with Cat behind him. The man then charged with his knife, but Naruto just kicked him into the wall again and then grabbed his arm and threw him over his shoulder and onto the ground. Then Bran's direwolf ran into the room and pounced on the man. The direwolf chewed and gnawed and ripped the man's throat out. The direwolf then jumped onto Bran's bed and protected him. Good boy, Naruto said as he pet the direwolf. He then checked on Cat. Are you hurt? Naruto asked. I'm fine, I thought you left. Cat asked. I did, but I had a clone stay behind to look after you guys. Naruto said with a smile as he then moved over to the assassin. Naruto checked the body for any note or identifiable mark, but there was nothing except for the knife. Naruto inspected it and it was very high-end and it belonged to the person who wanted Bran dead. After the attempted assassination, Cat decided to do some detective work. She went to the tower and the spot that Naruto told her Bran fell from. She looked around the area and noticed that there was a clean spot on the floor, but only in a small area. The rest of the floor was covered in leaves and dead twigs, but this spot was a complete circle. She then saw that there was a lock of long blonde hair on the ground and came to a startling discovery. She then gathered Robb, Theon, Roderick and Naruto at the lake to tell them. What I am about to tell you must remain between us. I don't think Bran fell from that tower, I think he was thrown. The boy was always short-footed before. Roderick said. Someone tried to kill him twice. Why murder an innocent child unless he saw something he wasn't meant to see? Cat said. Saw what, milady? Theon asked. I don't know, but I would stake my life the Lannisters are involved. They already have reason to suspect our loyalty to the crown. Cat said. The blade was too well made for a lowly assassin. The blade is Valyrian steel and the hilt is dragon bone. Someone gave it to him. Naruto said, unsheathing the dagger. They come into our home and try to murder my brother. If it's war they want, if it comes to that you'll know I stand beside you. Theon said as Robb nodded. Easy Robb, we will not be declaring war in the God's Wood. Naruto said as Robb calmed down. Now we have no proof of any of this, and if we go making baseless claims then it will do us no good. But Ned should be told. Naruto said. I do not trust a rave to carry these words. Kat said. I will go to King's Landing. Rob said. No, there must always be a Stark in Winterfell. Kat said. She's right. Right now we must act as if nothing has changed or we will tip the Lannisters off. I will send a message back to myself with Ned, but it would be best to come from you, Kat. I will create another clone to accompany you. Naruto said as Kat smiled. Thank you, Naruto. Kat said, grateful. What about Bran? Rob asked. I will continue to watch over him, but Theon take number of any guard or traveler coming and going from Winterfell. If they tried twice, they're more than likely to try again. Naruto said as Theon nodded. Rob, keep the direwolves around the castle. They will let us know if an intruder comes. Naruto said as Rob nodded. For now, we do nothing else until Bran wakes or Ned tells us. Bran will wake up by tonight and we shall see if what he knows is worth killing for. Something tells me, Kit, this whole situation is going to get very complicated very fast. Kurama said. I know, Kurama. Are you ready to fight if this comes to war? Naruto asked. Born that way, Kurama said with a smile. Line break XXXXX. The king's caravan reached the crossroads inn on the way down to the capital. It was a bustle with activity as the knights and guards set up tents and were discussing matters while workers quickly got to work helping the king and the family settle in. Ned entrusted Naruto to look after Sansa and Arya as he talked with Robert, and Naruto agreed. Naruto changed his outfit so he now wore a lighter version of his heavy Winterfell clothing since the heat was becoming an issue. He wore a crimson long-sleeve jacket as an orange shirt and a pair of dark blue pants. He had his headband on his buckle, his jade necklace around his neck and QB strapped around his waist. He found Sansa and the two were walking through the area as Sansa was walking her direwolf, Lady. They walked through the encampment, watching the guards move back and forth carrying supplies as several of Cersei's maidens spotted Naruto and giggled. Naruto just shook his head as he and Sansa kept walking. An old man stepped in front of them. Pardon me, Esser, Sansa said to the man. The man just creepily stared at her, wide-eyed. The hound then walked up behind Naruto and Sansa. Do I frighten you so much, girl, or is it him that's making you shake? Sandor asked. He frightens me too, look at that face. I'm sorry if I offended you, Esser. Sansa told the man who just walked away. Creepy. Naruto said. Why won't he speak to me? Sansa asked. He hasn't been very talkative these days, or for that fact the past 20 years. Since the Mad King had his tongue ripped out with hot pincers. Sandor said as Sansa gagged a little. Thank you for the notice, Esser Hound. Naruto said as he nodded and Sandor nodded back. Come on, Sansa, let's find Arya, Naruto said as they walked away. Joffrey then walked up and stared at Naruto with anger and jealousy. That stupid blonde-haired, whiskered-faced freak hit him, and now he was getting too close with his future wife. Joffrey seethed in anger as he followed them. Sandor just shook his head and left. Naruto and Sansa walked along the river with Lady when they see Arya and the son of the butcher of the inn, Micah, sparring with wooden swords. Naruto sees that Arya is doing pretty well. Move your feet, Arya, Naruto said as this catches Arya off guard and Micah pokes her with the wooden sword and she falls to the ground. Naruto and Sansa chuckle as Micah helps her up. Naruto, you messed me up, Arya said. Well, let that be your first lesson, never take your eyes off your opponent, Naruto said as he'd pat her on the head and held her practice sword. You're Micah, correct? Yes, Esser, Micah responded. I'm not knight, there's no need for Esser. You fought very well, Naruto said as Micah smiled at the praise. But shouldn't you be helping your father for tonight's feast? Naruto said as Micah went wide-eyed. Right, I best be off, Micah said as he gave his wooden sword to Arya. Goodbye, Esser Naruto, Micah said as he ran off. I told you, I'm not a knight, Naruto yelled as he ran and Arya and Sansa giggled. I can tell. They heard a voice and turned to see Joffrey walk to them, with a smug smile on his face. How can you tell her how to fight if you're not a knight? Leave him alone, Arya said, but Naruto put a hand on her shoulder. It's okay, Arya. True Prince Joffrey, I am not knight but I have never been bested by anyone, Naruto said as Joffrey got a smile on his face. Well, then shall we put that to the test? Joffrey said as he unsheathed his sword. Very well, I could do with some practice, Naruto said as he unbuckled his sword and gave it to Sansa. Naruto, what are you doing? Sansa asked, concerned. I won't need it, Naruto said as he used Arya's wooden sword. Joffrey then charged at Naruto and stabbed at him, but Naruto just spun around Joffrey and knocked the sword forward, causing Joffrey to almost lose his balance. Joffrey seethed in anger as he turned to face Naruto. He gripped his sword tighter and swung at Naruto. Joffrey swung back and forth, trying to hit Naruto, but Naruto either dodged or used the wooden sword to block it. Naruto then blocked a sword strike and tripped Joffrey as he fell on his face. Naruto saw this and put the wooden sword down to help the boy up. You all right, Joffrey? Naruto said as his hand out to help Joffrey up. Joffrey then swung his sword at Naruto's head as Naruto moved back at the last second and only a piece of his hair was cut off. Arya and Sansa saw this and were shocked. Leave his alone, Arya and Sansa yelled as Joffrey got back up and swung at Naruto, who ducked and dodged from Joffrey's sword strikes. I'll gut you, you cunt. Joffrey yelled in anger as continued to swing, but Naruto then ducked and threw Joffrey over his shoulder. Joffrey rolled on the ground and groaned in pain as he got back up. That's enough, Joffrey. The fight is over, Naruto told him as he got his sword back from Sansa and strapped it back on his belt. The three then left, but Joffrey got so angry, he grabbed his sword and charged at Naruto. Just as he was about to stab him in the back, Naruto quickly spun around, unsheathed his sword and swiped back, slicing the back of Joffrey's right hand and hit hard enough to knock Joffrey's sword out of his hands and into the river. Naruto then kicked him in the chest and Joffrey fell on his back, groaning in pain. I said, the fight was over, Naruto said as he pointed his sword at Joffrey while Lady and Nymeria growled at the prince. Naruto then sheathed his sword and they walked away. A true prince wouldn't belittle himself by seeking pointless vengeance, Naruto shouted to Joffrey as he growled in anger. He then thought up of an idea to get the blonde in trouble. Night had settled over the inn as Naruto was with Ned, Sansa and Arya, and they were enjoying themselves, talking and eating, but then a king's guard came into the room and told them that the Lannisters had ordered them to stand before the king. Naruto and Ned shared a glance and the two then decided to see what they were needed for. Naruto grabbed his sword while Ned didn't, and the guard escorted them to the room where King Robert, Queen Cersei and Prince Joffrey were waiting for them. What is the meaning of this? Why were we brought here? Ned asked Robert as the kings and Lannister guards circled around them. You dare speak to your king in that manner, Cersei said. Quiet, woman, Robert told her as she shut up. Sorry, Ned, I don't mean to insult or harm any of you, but this matter must be dealt with. Your boy and your beasts attacked my son, Queen Cersei said. That animal of yours nearly tore his arm off. That's not true, Arya yelled as Naruto stopped her. Easy, Arya, let me handle this, Naruto told her as she reluctantly nodded yes. I did not attack him. Joffrey asked for a spar and I gave him just that. That's not what Joffrey told me. He said you attacked him with your sword and then you had that beast attack him and it nearly tore his arm off, Cersei said, smugly. If that were true, his arm would be bleeding a lot more than that, Naruto said, referring to the bandage with a very little amount of blood on it. If Nymeria or Lady did attack him, then there would be more blood on that bandage. I managed to fix it before it got worse, Joffrey said. Wow, I'm amazed. Healing skills like that are rare. Would you show us, Prince Joffrey, and let us marvel at your skill? Naruto said as Joffrey got nervous. His mother accepted the lie he told her without question and she didn't see it. Why should I show you? Joffrey asked, smugly. Well, if what you told your mother is true and a direwolf did attack you, there would be teeth marks. If you show me and there are, then I will accept full punishment for my actions, Naruto said as Cersei seemed to agree with the idea. Go ahead, Joffrey, Cersei told him as Joffrey was hesitant. Go on, boy, Robert said as Joffrey didn't move. Cersei then took his hand and unwrapped the bandages and to reveal just a small cut wound on his arm. Cersei, Robert and everyone in the room knew that Joffrey lied. Now unless Joffrey used magic to heal his wounds, there should be bite marks on his hand, Naruto said as Arya and Sansa smiled as Ned cracked a small smile. So my boy lied about the animal, but you did attack him, Cersei said, trying her best not to make her son look weak. Again, wrong. Joffrey asked me to spar and we did. He used his sword while I used a wooden one. After I won, your son tried to take off my head, but he wouldn't listen. When he tried to stab me, I knocked his sword away with my own, which is how he got that little scratch. Naruto said as Robert looked at Joffrey. You got beat by a twig and got a scratch on your hand and you called us here for that. Robert asked Joffrey as Joffrey looked like a fool. I'm sorry Naruto, Ned. You can go now. Robert said as Naruto and Ned nodded back and they and the girls were leaving. What about the boy? Should he not be punished for hurting the prince? Cersei asked. First off, it was training and he tried to kill me. He's lucky he got off with only that scratch. I've killed men for less than that. And if you tried training him rather than pampering like a baby, this probably wouldn't have happened. Naruto said as Cersei and Joffrey seethed in anger while Robert just thought to himself. Was Joffrey too pampered if he was to rule? He lost to a stick in a sparring match. Some of the Lannister loyalists moved in front of Naruto as he left and grabbed their swords. I would advise against that, Naruto said as he grabbed his. Let them go. Robert ordered the men. They've done nothing wrong. Husband, let them go. Robert told them again, interrupting Cersei. The guards then moved as they let them go and Naruto and the others left. Robert and everyone else retired to bed as Cersei and Joffrey were outraged. I'll get that cunt for what he's done. I'll put his head on a spike, Joffrey thought as he went to bed. That boy is getting to be a huge problem. First saving that Stark boy and now swaying my husband against my judgment. He will need to be taken care of. Cersei thought as she knew Naruto needed to die. Line break XXXXX back in Winterfell. Bran had finally woken up. He was fine, he could walk and there were not lasting injuries except he had no memory of how exactly he fell. Naruto tried to help but he couldn't make Bran remember. I guess Naruto would have to find out what Bran knew. Meanwhile, the royal caravan had finally arrived in King's Landing. Ned and Naruto arrive in the main courtyard of the castle but as soon as they step off their horses a messenger approaches them. Welcome Lord Stark. Grand Maester Pycelle has called a meeting of the small castle. The honor of your presence is requested. The servant said as Naruto and Ned looked at each other. Naruto created a clone to go with the girls to get them settled in. If you'd like to change into something more appropriate, the servant said as Ned and Naruto were unamused by his comment and left. I already hate it here, Naruto whispered to Ned. Ned and Naruto walked through the castle and into the throne room to see Jaime Lannister sitting near the throne. Thank the gods you're here, Stark. About time we had some stern northern leadership, Jaime said. Glad to see you're protecting the throne, Ned said. Sturdy old thing. How many king's asses have polished it I wonder? And what's the line? The king shits and the hand wipes, Jaime said. Very handsome armor, not a scratch on it, Ned said. I know, people have been swinging at me for years but they always seem to miss, Jaime said. You've chosen your opponents wisely then, Ned said. Jaime then told Ned of the time he watched Ned's father die and Ned wasn't fond of Jaime either. He even insulted Jaime for his cowardly way of killing the Mad King from behind as a real warrior would have done it from the front. Ned and Naruto walked past him as both were upset. Oh, I hope we can prove the Lannisters are behind everything. I so look forward to putting an arrow through his heart, Naruto whispered to Ned. They then walked into the council room where the other four were waiting for them. Varys instantly got up and tried to butter up to Ned. Lord Stark, Varys said as he handed his hands out to shake. Lord Varys, Ned said as he shook his hands. I was grievously sorry to hear of your troubles on the King's Road. We are all praying for Prince Joffrey's full recovery, Varys said. Don't be, it's just a scratch, Naruto said as he walked past Varys and hugged Renly Baratheon, Robert's younger brother and master of law. Renly, it's good to see you, Naruto said. Good to see you as well, Renly said as Ned came over. Renly, you look well, Ned said as he hugged Renly. And you look tired. I told them this meeting could wait another day, but we have a kingdom to look after. Lord Bellish interrupted Renly. I've hoped to meet you for some time, Lord Stark. No doubt Lady Catelyn has mentioned me. She has, Lord Bellish. I understand you knew my brother Brandon as well, Ned said. All too well. I still carry a token of his esteem from navel to collarbone, Bellish said. Perhaps you chose the wrong man to duel with, Ned said. Well, it wasn't the man that I chose, my lord. It was Caitlin Tooley, a woman worth fighting for. I'm sure you'll agree, Bellish said. I humbly beg your pardon, my lord Stark, Pycelle said. Grand Maester, Ned said as he and Naruto nodded to him. How many years has it been? Pycelle asked. You were a young man. And you served another king. Ned said. Oh, how forgetful of me. Pycelle said as he grabbed an item from his pouch. This belongs to you now, he said as he handed the hand button to Ned. Shall we begin? Without the king? Ned asked. Winter may be coming, but I'm afraid the same cannot be said for my brother. He has told us that Naruto will be allowed to attend the meetings as his job to aid Lord Stark, Renly said as the others nodded. His grace has many cares. He only trusts some small matters to us that we might lighten the load, Varys said. We are the lords of small matters here, Bellish said as Renly handed a parchment to Ned. My brother instructs us to stage a tournament in honor of Lord Stark's appointment as Hand of the King, Renly said. How much? Bellish asked. 40,000 gold dragons to the champion, 20,000 to the runner-up, 20,000 to the winning archer, Ned said. Can the treasury bear such expense? Pycelle asked Bellish. I'll have to borrow it. The Lannisters will accommodate, I expect. We already owe Lord Tywin 3 million gold. What's another 80,000? Bellish said as Naruto and Ned were shocked. Are you telling me the crown in 3 million in debt? Ned asked. I'm telling you the crown is 6 million in debt, Bellish said. How could you let this happen? Ned asked the men. The master of coin finds the money. The king hence the hand spend it, Bellish told him. I will not believe Jon Arryn led King Robert to bankrupt the realm, Ned said. Lord Arryn gave wise and prudent advice, but I fear his grace doesn't always listen, Pycelle said as Naruto and Renly shook their heads. Counting coppers he calls it, Renly said. I'll speak to him tomorrow. This tournament is an extravagance we cannot afford, Ned told them. As you will, but we still best make our plans, Bellish told him. There will be no plans until I speak to Robert, Ned said as the others looked at him, referring to the king by his first name. Forgive me, my lords. I had a long ride. You are the king's hand, Lord Stark. We serve at your pleasure, Varys said. Lord Bellish, Naruto said as he tossed a scroll to him and Bellish looked at it weird. That should cover the crown's debt, 7 million gold dragons. Naruto, are you sure? Ned asked. Yes, I am. Take that to wipe away the king's debt. I would not have Ned's first week here in King's Landing be troubled by an unsettling needed payment, Naruto said as Ned nodded thank you. As you wish, Lord Naruto, but how did you come to acquire 7 million gold dragons? Bellish asked. I have my methods, Naruto said as Bellish just nodded yes. In another part of the castle, Cersei was with Joffrey tending to the slice on his hand. Even though it was small, Joffrey still was a baby and Cersei pampered him as such. Ow, Joffrey said as Cersei applied some cream to his already healed wound. Please, it's nearly healed, Cersei told him. It's ugly, Joffrey complained. But kings should have scars. You fought off a trained warrior, you should be proud. You're a warrior like your father, Cersei said. I'm nothing like him. I didn't fight off anything, he kept dodging and when he cut me I screamed. And the two Stark girls, they saw it, both of them, Joffrey told her. That's not true. You held your own against a man who has years of experience. Despite what you say or what is told, one day you will sit on the throne and the truth will be whatever you make it, Cersei told him. Do I have to marry her? Joffrey asked. I don't know. Your father originally wanted the two of you to get married, but now he's not sure. Probably influenced by that whisker-faced idiot, Cersei said in anger. But if you want to marry her, then you will. If you want to fuck whores, then you can. You're my darling boy and the world will be exactly as you want it to be. Do something nice for the Stark girl, Cersei told him. I don't want to, Joffrey replied, but you will. The occasional kindness will spare you lots of trouble down the road and help you win her heart, Cersei said. She doesn't want me, she wants that blonde idiot that protects her. We allow the Northerners too much power. They consider themselves our equals. And that whisker-faced brute considers himself better than us, Joffrey told her. How would you handle them? Cersei asked. I double their taxes, and command them to supply 10,000 men to the royal army, Joffrey told her. The royal army? Cersei asked. Why should every lord command his own men? It's primitive. No better than the hill tribes, we should have a standing army of men loyal to the crown, trained by experienced soldiers, instead of a mob of peasants who have never held pikes in their lives, Joffrey said. And if the northerners rebel, she asked, I'd crush them. Seize Winterfell and install someone loyal to the crown as warden of the north. Uncle Kevin, maybe, Joffrey told her. And these 10,000 northern troops, would they fight for you or their lord? Cersei said. For me, I'm their king. Joffrey told her. You just invaded their homeland. Ask them to kill their brothers, Cersei said. I'm not asking. And that whiskered-faced peasant will fall where he belongs, with his head on a pike, Joffrey said. The north cannot be held. Not by an outsider, it's too big and too wild. And when the winter comes, the 7 gods couldn't come together to save you or your army. A good king knows when to save his strength, and when to destroy his enemies, Cersei said. So you agree? The Starks are enemies, Joffrey said. Everyone who isn't us is an enemy, Cersei said. Line break XXXXX. Sansa and Arya were eating lunch, but both weren't in great moods. Arya was still mad at Joffrey for calling them liars, and especially for saying that Naruto was a liar and that Nymeria was a rapid beast. She was stabbing her knife into the food as Sansa understood her anger, but it was getting annoying. Enough of that, young lady. Eat your food, the maid told her. I'm practicing, Arya said. Practicing for what? Sansa asked. The prince, Arya said. Arya Stark, the maid said. He's a liar and a coward. And he tried to get us in trouble and more importantly blame Naruto for the whole thing when it was his fault, Arya said as she stuck her knife in the table. Enough, the maid said as she had Arya get up. Ned and Naruto then entered the room. What's happening here? Ned asked. Arya would rather act like a beast than a lady, the maid said. Go to your room. We'll speak later, Ned said as Arya looked at Naruto, who nodded for her to do what her father said as she left. Ned then handed Sansa a present. That's for you, Wolf, Ned said as he sat down, and Sansa opened it to reveal a very nice doll. The same doll maker makes all of Princess Myrcella's toy. Don't you like it? I do, but I haven't played with dolls since I was 8, Sansa said as Ned looked a little disappointed. Naruto then smirked and took out another present. Luckily, your father was smart enough to get you another gift, Naruto said as he got out another gift while Ned looked at him. Naruto opened it to reveal a beautiful jeweled headband. Sansa's smile lit up her face as she saw this beautiful piece of jewelry. It was a silver headband studded with rubies and sapphires and a crimson outline. Your father knew that moving here would be a big change, so he got you this to ease you in, Naruto said as he put the headband on Sansa's head. Sansa smiled as Naruto put it on her. Thank you, father, Sansa said as she hugged him and he hugged her back. You're welcome. I'm glad you like it, Ned said. I love it, Sansa said as she touched it. If you'll excuse me, Sansa said as she hugged Naruto and left for her room. Thank you, Naruto, Ned said. Don't thank me. I paid for it with your money, Naruto said with a smirk as he went to check on Arya, while Ned just realized that the headband probably set him back a few gold dragons. Naruto then went to Arya's room to see her wielding the sword he and Jon had forged for her. Are you okay, Arya? Naruto asked as he walked into her room. No, Joffrey should be punished. He's a liar and a coward. He tired to get you into trouble and thinks he is better than you, Arya said in anger. Arya, listen to me. I know this is hard for you, but things are different now. Now that your father is the hand of the king, he needs to be careful. He is put under a harsher strain than he has before, and any kind of unlike behavior or outburst from any of us would put us in danger, Naruto said as Arya seemed to understand but was still angry at Joffrey. How can you be so calm, Joffrey? He's a coward and blamed you for his own actions, Arya said as Naruto chuckled and pat her head. I have lived long and have heard much worse. At some point you learn that while their words may hurt, but the person saying them is less because they choose to do so, Naruto said in a sage-like wisdom as Arya smiled. Not bad, Kit, Kurama told him as Naruto smiled. Now I believe your father will want to speak with you and I have matters to attend to. But if he should allow it, I might know someone who could teach you how to use your new sword. Naruto said as Arya smiled. Naruto then got up and left as Ned walked in. Naruto told Ned that he needed to attend to some matters in the city and left. He then flashed away to his clone who disappeared and the real Naruto took his place. Kat saw this and smiled that the real Naruto was with her. It made her feel safer. They rode into the city, as people came and went. Merchants were selling their items and guards were monitoring everything. Are you sure about this, Kat? Naruto asked. It's been 9 years since I stepped foot in the capital, and no one knew who I was the last time I came either. Kat told Naruto as they rode through the entrance and 2 guards rode up to them. Kat, Naruto said. Welcome to King's Landing, Lady Stark. Would you mind following us? The guard asked. I would, we've done nothing wrong, Kat told them. We've been instructed to escort you into the city, the guard said. Instructed? I don't know who's providing your instructions but, follow me, Lady Stark. The guard interrupted her and handed her a parchment. Kat and Naruto did as the guard led them to one of brothels of King's Landing. Naruto didn't like this, who ordered for Kat to be brought here and Kat wasn't pleased with this either. The guard led them through the brothel to the top floor and a private room where Lord Bellish was waiting for them. Kat, go on. Bellish told the prostitutes. You little worm, Kat yelled as she threw the parchment at him. You take me for some back alley Sally you can drag into a... She was cut off as 2 more prostitutes entered but were quickly sent away by Lord Bellish. I meant no disrespect to you of all people, Lord Bellish said. How dare you bring me here? Have you lost your mind? Kat asked. No one will come looking for you here, isn't that what you wanted? I'm truly sorry about the locale, Bellish said. How did you know I was coming to King's Landing? Kat asked as Bellish pointed to Lord Varys who just entered. A dear friend told me, Bellish said. Lady Stark, Varys said. Lord Varys, Kat said as Naruto saw she wasn't pleased to see him here. To see you after so many years is a blessing. Your poor hands, Varys said as he moved to touch her but before he could Naruto grabbed his hand and squeezed hard as Lord Varys groaned in pain. Mind your touch. Naruto warned him as he let go but Varys rubbed his hands in pain. How did you know I was coming? Kat asked. Knowledge is my trade, my lady. Now is why you came here. I have no idea. Varys said as Naruto smiled. Varys may be the master of whispers but Naruto's spy network was far better than his. That is of a private matter, Lord Varys. One that does not require you to witness. Naruto told him as Varys looked at Naruto but Kat agreed. I'm afraid you must leave, Lord Varys. Kat said as Varys looked at Bellish who reluctantly nodded yes. Of course, my lady. Varys said as he left. When he did Kat told Naruto to show Lord Bellish the dagger. Naruto unwrapped it and tossed it to him. Do you know whose dagger this is? Kat asked. There is only one dagger like this in all of the 7 kingdoms. It's mine. Bellish said, which shocked Naruto and Kat. Yours? Naruto asked. At least it was until the tournament on Prince Joffrey's last name day. I bet on Sir Jaime on the jousting as any man would. When the Knight of the Flowers unseated him, I lost this dagger, Bellish said. To whom? Kat asked. Tyrion Lannister, the imp, Bellish told her. Line break XXXXX later in the day Ned received a message raven from Winterfell telling that Kat was here. He figured that was the business Naruto needed to attend to. As to where she was, Lord Bellish told him he had her at the whorehouse to keep her safe. After a small fracas the 4 discusses what to do now that they knew the knife belonged to a Lannister. The mere suggestion of the Queen's brother trying to kill your boy is treason, Bellish told them. We have proof. We have the blade, Kat said, which Lord Tyrion will say was stolen from him. The only man who could say otherwise has no throat thanks to your boy's wolf, Lord Bellish said. Petter has promised to help us find the truth. He's like a little brother to me, Ned. He would never betray my trust, Kat told Ned. I'll try to keep you alive for her sake. A fool's task admittedly but I've never been able to refuse your wife anything, Bellish said. I won't forget this. You're a true friend, Kat said. Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to maintain, Bellish said. Even though Lord Bellish agreed to help, Naruto didn't trust him. He was far too fond of Cat to not hold any kind of resentment to Ned. He was also a very trickster-ish kind of man, seeking power, and Naruto needed to keep an eye on him. Back in the castle, Jamie entered Cersei's room as the two argued. "How could you be so stupid?" Cersei asked in frustration. "Calm down," Jamie told her. "He's a child, 10 years old." "What were you thinking?" Cersei asked. "I was thinking of us. You're a bit late to start complaining about it now." "What has the boy told them?" he asked. "Nothing, he said nothing, he remembers nothing," Cersei said. "Then what are you raving about?" Jamie asked. "What if it comes back to him? He tells his father what he saw," Cersei said. "We'll say he's lying. He was dreaming, we'll say whatever we like. I think we can outfox a 10-year-old, Jamie said. "And my husband?" Cersei asked. "I'll go to war with him if I have to. They can write a ballad about us." "The war for Cersei's cunt," Jamie joked as Cersei slapped him hard across the face. She tried to slap him again, but he caught her arm and spun her around and hugged her close. "Let me go," she told him. "The boy won't talk, and if he does, I'll kill him. Ned Stark, the king, that whiskered-face idiot. I'll kill the lot of them until you and I are the only people left in this world," Jamie told her. Unknown to them, one of Naruto's clones heard the whole thing and was even able to record it on a new voice recording seal he made. Naruto smirked. As soon as he was able to show Ned and Robert this, the Lannisters were going down. The game has changed in the training courtyard of Winterfell. Bran was practicing his archery. He then saw a raven fly right by him and land on a hay barrel. Bran saw that there was something unusual with the raven and walked closer. The raven flew to the gates and Bran followed. As Bran drew closer, he saw that the raven had 3 eyes. Bran's eyes opened as he saw the ceiling of his room. Bran awoke from his dream and sat up to see his direwolf next to him. "The little lord's been dreaming again," the maid said as the door to Bran's room opened to reveal Theon Greyjoy. Bran's direwolf growled, but Theon walked in. "We have visitors," Theon said. "I don't want to see anyone," Bran said, just wanting to be alone to think what that dream meant. "Really, if I was cooped up all day with no one but this old bat for company, I'd go mad," Theon joked. "Anyway, you don't have a choice, Rob's waiting." "I don't want to go," Bran said. "Neither do I, but Rob's Lord of Winterfell, which means I do what he says and you do what I say," Theon said as Bran reluctantly agreed and got out of bed. In the main hall of the castle, Tyrion was called before Robb on his way back to King's Landing. "I must say I received a much warmer welcome on my last visit," Tyrion said. "Anyone from the Night's Watch is welcome at Winterfell," Robb said to the guard who came with Tyrion. "Any man of the Night's Watch, but not I, boy," Tyrion said. "I'm not your boy, Lannister. I'm Lord of Winterfell while my father's away," Robb said. "You might learn a lord courtesy," Tyrion said as Bran walked into the room. So Naruto was right. "Hello, Bran. Do you remember anything of what happened?" "He has no memory of that day," the maester said. "Well, I'm glad you're all right. Naruto told me you're Quiet the Climber, so I have a gift for you," Tyrion said, handing Bran a parchment with a schematic. "This is a special harness your saddler can construct. When matched with a hook, it should save your life next time you climb," Tyrion said with a smile as Bran smiled. "Why are you doing this?" Robb asked. "Bran was almost crippled, and I have a thing in my heart for cripples, bastards and broken things," Tyrion said. "Now if you'll excuse me, I shall retire to the brothel for the night," Tyrion said as he left. Line break XXXXX in Essos, Daenerys and the Dothraki horde were riding to Vaes Dothrak, the Dothraki city. They rode up to the entrance, which was a gateway arched by 2 large statues of rearing horses. "Vaes Dothrak, the city of the horse lords," Mormont told the Targaryens. Daenerys was in awe at the city, but Viserys wasn't. A pile of mud and shit and twigs. Best these savages can do. "These are my people now. You shouldn't call them savages," Daenerys told her brother. "I'll call them what I like because they're my people. This is my army. Khal Drogo is marching the wrong way with my army," Viserys told them as he rode ahead. The rest of the horde soon followed. "If my brother was given an army of Dothraki, could you go into the 7 kingdoms?" Daenerys asked. "The Dothraki have never crossed the narrow sea," They fear any water their horses can't drink, Mormont told her. But if they did? Daenerys asked as Mormont thought for a second. King Robert is fool enough to meet them in open battle, but the men advising him are different, Mormont said. And you know these men? She asked. Some of them. I fought beside them once, long ago. Now Ned Stark wants my head. He drove me from my lands, Mormont said, but he is not the main problem. Who is? Daenerys asked. Naruto Uzumaki, a young man people say are blessed by the gods and delivered to the Seven Kingdoms. He's as known as the Orange Flash and the protector of the House Stark, Mormont said, hearing the tales and stories of Naruto. Do you think he will be a problem? Daenerys asked. Most definitely, they say his skill with magic is unmatched. He is a mighty warrior and his speed is the reason for his name, Mormont told her. Daenerys thought to herself, and if Mormont was right, this Naruto Uzumaki would be a big problem if they tried to attack Westeros. Maybe she could do something to remove him from the picture, or turn him to her side. Line break XXXXX. Sansa and Lady Mordain walked through the throne room of the castle as Lady Mordain continued to educate Sansa should the time come when Lord Stark decides to marry her to Joffrey. Someday your husband will sit there and you will sit by his side, and one day before too long you will present your son to the court. All the lords of Westeros will gather here to see the little prince. Mordain told Sansa, but Sansa didn't want to marry Joffrey. What if I have a girl? Sansa asked. Gods be good you'll have boys and girls, and plenty of them, Mordain said. What if I only have girls? Sansa told her. I wouldn't worry about that, but should that happen then the next in line would be Joffrey's younger brother. But I wouldn't worry, Joffrey would love you regardless, Mordain said. I don't want to marry Joffrey, Sansa said as Mordain just shook her head. Sansa, if this is about that business with that Naruto, I have told you countless times, he is a bad influence on you, Mordain said. Naruto does what he does because he loves me and my family. Just shut up about things you don't understand, Sansa told her as she left, not wanting to hear Mordain disrespect Naruto. In the council room of the castle, Ned and Naruto were with the other lords as a captain of the King's Guard came to them to express the need for more help. It's the hands tournament that's causing all this trouble, my lord, the captain said as Ned rubbed his head in annoyance. The King's tournament. I assure you the hand wants no part of it, Ned told the captain. Call it what you will, Lord Stark, sir, but city is packed with people with more flooding in every day. Last night we had a tavern riot, a brothel fire, 3 stabbings, and a drunken horse race down the streets of Sisters, the captain said. Dreadful, Varys said. If you can't keep the king's peace, perhaps the city watch should be commanded by someone who can, Renly said. I need more men, the captain said. You'll get 50, Lord Bellish will see it paid for, Ned said. Of course, Lord Bellish said. I'll also give you 20 of my household guard until the crowds have left, Ned said. Thank you, my lord hand, sir. They will be put to good use, the captain said as he bowed and then left. The sooner this is over, the better, Ned said. The realm prospers from such events, my lord. They give the greater a chance at glory and the lowly a respite from their woes, Varys said. Every inn in the city is full, and the whores are walking bow-legged, Bellish said. I'm sure that they're putting many a coin in your pocket. Now, if there's nothing else, my lords, Ned told them as he got up and they left. Ah, this heat. On days like this, I envy you northerners and your summer snow. Till tomorrow, my lord, Pycelle said, but Ned stopped him. I was hoping to talk to you about Jon Arryn, Ned said. Lord Arryn, well, his death was a great sadness to all of us. I took personal charge of his care, but I could not save him. His sickness struck him very hard and very fast. I saw him in my chambers just the night before he passed. Lord Jon often came to me for counsel, Pycelle told Ned and Naruto. Why? Naruto asked. I have been Grand Maester for many years. Kings and hands have come to me for advice. What did Jon want, the night before he died? Ned interrupted Pycelle. Oh, he came inquiring a book, Pycelle said. A book? What book? Naruto asked. Ah, I fear it would be of little interest to you, my lords. A ponderous tome, Pycelle said. No, I'd like to read it, Ned said. Pycelle then led Naruto and Ned to his office and he got the book that John wanted. The lineages and history of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, with descriptions of many high lords and noble ladies and their children. Pycelle told them as he showed them a very large book. Ned then opened the book and read over a few pages of previous rulers and lords of the land. "Why would John Aaron want a history book?" Naruto asked. "As I said, my lord, a ponderous read," Pycelle told them. "Did John Aaron tell you what he wanted with it?" Ned asked. "He did not, my lord. I did not presume to ask," Pycelle said. "Well, John's death, did he say anything to you in his final hours?" Ned asked. "Nothing of import, my lord. There was one phrase he kept repeating. The seed is strong, I think it was," Pycelle said. "The seed is strong?" Naruto asked. "What does that mean?" Ned asked. "Oh, the dying mind are a demented kind, Lord Stark. For all the wake they're given, last words are usually as significant as their first words," Pycelle said. "And you're quite certain he died of a natural illness?" Ned asked. "What else could it be?" Pycelle asked. "Poison," Ned said. "Disturbing thought. No, I don't think it likely. The hand was loved by all. What sort of man would dare?" Pycelle asked. "I heard it said that poison is a woman's weapon," Ned said. "Yes, women, cravens, and eunuch. Did you know Lord Varys is a eunuch?" Pycelle asked. "Everybody knows that," Ned said. Ned and Naruto then bid farewell to Maester Pycelle and returned to their quarters. They entered to see Arya, balancing on one foot at the top of the stair. "Sirio knows a water dancer who can stand on one toe for hours," Arya told them. "It's a hard fall down these steps," Ned told her. "Sirio says every hurt is a lesson, and every lesson makes you better," Arya said with a smile. "Tomorrow, I'm going to be chasing cats." "Cats?" Ned asked. "Sirio says. He says every swordsman should study cats. They're as quiet as shadows and as light as feathers. You have to be quick to catch them," Arya said. "Oh, you do, and when you do you'll find yourself faster than you were before. Just steer clear of the claws," Naruto said as he shivered at the memories of Tora. "Now that Bran's awake, will he come live with us?" Arya asked. "Well, that's up to him, but I don't think he'll want to leave Rob all by himself," Naruto said. "Now get back to your training," Naruto told her as she did. Line break XXXXX days passed as Ned and Naruto's investigation continued on. Apparently his clone was able to find out that Cersei and Jaime were behind the attack on Bran, but as to why he figured from what he heard, Jaime loved Cersei more than a brother should and Bran figured it out. Naruto didn't want to show Ned and Robert just yet until they knew how they killed John Aaron, and when they did, then they would get them tried for the murder of John and the attempted murder of Bran. Naruto risked that just by presenting a recording, the Lannisters could easily dispute the legitimacy of it. The Lannisters have the resources and the backing to refute any kind of statement, especially if it came from Naruto's magic without proper proof. Naruto just needed to wait a few more days. The city was filled with ears and he couldn't risk any information getting out. But when he got the chance, he would tell Ned. Ned and Naruto were walking with Lord Bellish through one of the courtyards of the palace. "I hear you're reading a boring book," Lord Bellish said as Ned and Naruto knew how he found out. "Pycelle talks too much," Ned said. "Oh, he never stops. Do you know Sir Hugh of the Vale?" Bellish asked as Ned and Naruto shook their heads. "No, not surprising. Until recently he was only a squire, John Aaron's squire. He was knighted almost immediately after his master's untimely death." "Knighted for what?" Ned asked, but Bellish didn't answer. "Why are you telling me this?" "I'd promised Kat that I would help you," Lord Bellish said. "Where is Sir Hugh?" Naruto asked. "I would advise against that. You see that little bird?" Baelish said as they looked at a small boy who was playing in the dirt. "One of Varys' little spies, the spider has taken a great interest in your comings and goings. Now look there, that hand, that one belongs to the queen. And do you see that scepter, pretending to read her book? She's one of mine." Lord Baelish said as Naruto unsheathed a dagger and pressed it to his back. "I would advise caution with that, little finger," Naruto warned him as Ned signaled him to lower his weapon. "I think we're done, Lord Bellish," Ned said. "As you wish, Lord Stark," Lord Bellish said as he left. I do not trust that man. Say the word and I kill him, Naruto whispered to Ned. Peace, Naruto. Lord Bellish is still a lord of King's Landing and must be approached with extreme caution, Ned warned him. I don't care, my only concern is the safety of you and your family, Naruto told him as they continued walking. Is that why you gave Lord Bellish all your money? Ned asked. I didn't give that to him, but to you. Robert may be my friend, but I would not have his foolish decisions as king ruin your life, Naruto told him as Ned smiled. You sure about that? With that money you could have been a lord yourself, Ned told him. I no longer seek such things anymore. Back in my world, I sought the position of my village's ruler for acceptance and admiration, but after coming here, I no longer crave for such things, Naruto said. And what do you crave, Naruto? Ned asked. Peace, Naruto said, but there is much work to do here if one is to achieve that. Yes, a lot of work, Ned said as they continued to walk on. Line break XXXXX. Naruto told Ned that he was able to sneak some information about what John Aaron did before he died. Apparently he went to a blacksmith in town, but as to why he didn't know. Ned and Jory went to the blacksmith to see what he could find and why John went there. Ned told Naruto to look out for the girls at the joust while he did some business. Naruto agreed but had a clone watch over them in case. Naruto sat with Sansa and Arya in the stands for the joust. They were excited for the joust to begin and Arya couldn't wait. Naruto saw Lord Bellish walk by and they both nodded to each other out of respect, but that's about it. King Robert then stood up. We've been sitting here for day. Start the damn joust before I piss myself, Robert yelled, drunk from wine as Cersei left in disgust. The jousters then made their way to the field. One was a very tall man wearing black armor and he stood out because he was the largest. Who is that? Sansa asked. Esser Gregor Clegane, they call him the Mountain. The Hound's older brother, Lord Bellish told him. And his opponent? Sansa asked. Esser Hugh of the Vale. He was John Aaron's squire. Look how far he's come, Naruto said as both jousters nodded to the king. Yes, enough of the bloody pomp, have at it, Robert told them. The two riders went to their respective corners for the joust. When they got to their ends, squires came up and handed them their shields and jousting lances. A horn was blown as the two raced at one another with their spears out. The first ride, the Mountain smacked Esser Hugh, but no damage was done. Everyone watched with awe as the two riders quickly reset and charged at each other again. This time, the Mountain thrusts his lance forward and it hit Esser Hugh right in the neck. Sansa screamed as everyone was shocked to see what happened. Esser Hugh fell off his horse and everyone saw a giant wooden splinter in his throat. He was gasping, trying to breathe, but his wound was too substantial and coughed up blood before ultimately dying. Two squires came up and dragged his body away as Naruto shook his head. Idiot. Naruto was soothing Sansa and Arya, who just witnessed a murder, as Lord Bellish whispered into Naruto's ear. Not what you were expecting. Has anyone ever told you of the story of the Mountain and the Hound? No, Naruto said. A lovely little tale of brotherly love. The Hound was just a pup, 6 years old maybe, Gregor a few years older, already a big lad getting a bit of a reputation. Some lucky boys just born with a talent for violence. One evening, Gregor found his little brother playing with a toy by the fire. Gregor's toy. A wooden knight. Gregor never said a word. He just grabbed his brother by the scruff of his neck and shoved his face into the burning coals. Held him there while the boy screamed, while his face melted. Lord Bellish told him. Why are you telling me this? Naruto asked. So you know a little history if you decide to act next time. But don't tell anyone of the story. For if the Hound knew, I fear there would not be enough knights in King's Landing to protect you, Lord Bellish said as he left. Line break XXXXX. Back in Essos, Viserys was dragging Daenerys' handmaiden by her hair to his sister's tent. She was screaming and protesting while he just violently dragged her. He then entered the tent and threw her in front of Daenerys. You send this whore to give me commands? I should have sent you back her head? Forgive me, Khaleesi, the maiden said. Hush now, it's all right. Take her and leave us. Daenerys told her maiden, who grabbed the girl and quickly left. Why did you hit her? How many times do I have to tell you? You do not command me, Viserys said in anger. I wasn't commanding you. I just wanted to invite you to supper, Daenerys said. What's this? Viserys asked, holding the clothes on a table. It's a gift, I had it made for you, Daenerys said. Dothraki rags, you're going to dress me now. This stinks of manure. All of it, Viserys yelled in frustration as he threw the clothes and a golden necklace at her. Stop it, she told him. You would turn me into one of them, wouldn't you? Next you'll want to braid my hair, Viserys said. You've no right to a braid, you've won no victories yet, Daenerys said. You do not talk back to me, he said as he slapped her hard across the face and she fell to the ground. He got on top of her to hit her again. You are a horse lord slut, and now you've awoken the dragon. Daenerys then grabbed the necklace he threw at her, which was on the ground, and hit him in the face with it, as he fell to his side in pain, and she got up. I am Khaleesi of the Dothraki. I am the wife of the Great Khal, and I carry his son inside me. The next time you raise a hand to me will be the last time you have hands. She threatened him as he left. Night had come and Viserys hadn't been seen since the incident. Daenerys was with Mormont in her tent discussing what happened hours ago. I hit him, I hit the dragon. Your brother Rhaegar was the last dragon. Viserys is less than the shadow of the same, Mormont said. He is still the true king, Daenerys said. Truth now. Do you want to see your brother sitting on the Iron Throne? Mormont asked. No, but the common people are awaiting for him. Illyrio said they are sewing dragon banners and awaiting for his return, Daenerys said. The common people pray for rain, health, and a summer that never ends. They don't care what games the High Lords play, Mormont said. What do you pray for, Ser Jorah? Daenerys asked. Home, he said. I pray for home too. My brother will never take back the 7 kingdoms. He couldn't lead an army even if my husband gave him one. They'll never take us home, she said. Line break XXXXX. Ned was in his study as the joust was going on. He was reading into the book on the lineages of the 7 kingdoms, trying to find out why Jon Arryn was looking into this. He heard a knock and the door opened to reveal Jory, my lord, her grace, the queen. Jory announced as she walked in, and he left. Your grace, Ned said. You're missing your tournament, Cersei said. Putting my name on it doesn't make it mine, Ned said. I thought we might put what happened on the King's Road behind us. That ugliness with the little fight, and dragging you into the hall like criminals was a little extreme. But sometimes we go to extremes where our children are concerned. How is Sansa? Cersei asked. She likes it here, Ned said. She's the only Stark who does, Cersei said. What are you doing here? Ned asked. I might ask you the same of you. What is it you and that boy hope to accomplish? Cersei asked. That boy is named Naruto, and the king called upon us to serve him in the realm, and that's what I'll do until he tells me otherwise, Ned said. Well, you can't change him, you can't help him. He'll do what he wants, which is all he's ever done. You try your best to pick up the pieces, Cersei said. If that's my job, then so be it. Ned said. You're just a soldier, aren't you? Take your orders and you carry on. Suppose it makes sense. Your older brother was trained to lead and you were trained to follow, she said. I was also trained to kill my enemies, your grace, Ned said. As was I, she said as she was about to leave but stopped as she got to the door. By the way, my Joffrey has expressed desire to marry your daughter, Sansa. I see, well I'll have to talk to Sansa about that, Ned said. I know she'll say yes, but I've seen how she looks at that whiskered bodyguard of yours. I would advise you to tell him not to get too attached. There's nothing my son wants that he doesn't get, Cersei said as she left. Line break XXXXX. Along the King's Road, between King's Landing and Winterfell, Catelyn and Naruto's clone met with Ser Roderick and were resting at an inn before they continued on to Winterfell. Cat and Roderick were inside, sitting at a table and eating some food while Naruto meditated outside. He needed to relax. Cat and Roderick were talking as a musician was walking through the inn, playing some music for guests in exchange for a few coins. Afternoon, folks, he said as he sat down next to Cat and Roderick. And to you, Cat said. A song while we wait, the man said. I'd rather throw myself down a well, Roderick said as Cat chuckled. Well then, grandfather, this is your last chance if you're heading up north. The only music the Northerners know is the howling of wolves. The man joked as Roderick saw Tyrion Lannister and his company walk in. Kat looked at Roderick as she saw the person who Bellish said owned the dagger that tried to kill her son. "I'm sorry, my lord. We're full up," the innkeeper said. "My men can sleep in the stable. As for myself, I don't require a large room," Tyrion told her. "Surely, my lord. We have nothing," she said. "Is there nothing I can do to remedy this?" Tyrion asked as he had some gold dragons in his hands. "You can have my room," a man said. "Now there's a clever man," Tyrion said as he handed the man the coin. "You can handle food, I trust. Jorian, dine with me." "Aye, my lord," Jorian said. "Lord of Lannister, may I entertain you while you eat?" "In honor of your father's victory in King's Landing," the musician said. "Nothing will more ruin my supper," Tyrion said. "Lady Stark, what an unexpected pleasure. I was sorry to miss you at Winterfell." Kat then got up to talk. "I was still Caitlin Tully, the last time I stayed here." "You, sir, is that the black bat of Harrenhal I see embedded on your coat?" Kat asked a man. "It is my lady," the man said. "And his lady went a true and honest friend to my father, Lord Hostard Tully of Riverrun?" Kat asked. "She is," the man said. "The red stallion was always a welcome sight at Riverrun. My father counts Jonos Bracken amongst his oldest and most trusted bannermen," Kat said to another man. "My lord is honored by his trust," the man replied. "I envy your father and all his fine friends, Lady Stark, but I don't quite see the purpose of this," Tyrion said as Kat looked at another man. "I know your sigil as well. The Twin Towers of Frey. How fares your lord, Esser?" Kat asked. "Lord Walder is well, my lady. He has asked you father the honor of his presence on his 90th name day. Plans to take another wife," the man said. "Huh," Tyrion commented. Kat then went up to Tyrion. "This man came into my house as a guest and they're conspired to murder my son, a boy of 10. In the name of King Robert and those good lords you serve, I call upon you to seize him and help me return him to Winterfell to await the king's justice," she said as the knights drew their swords and pointed them at Tyrion, who was confused and shocked. They then heard the door to the inn open and they saw Naruto enter. Naruto was shocked to see this. Knights pointing their swords at Tyrion and Kat in the center. She must have acted. Naruto needed to defuse the situation quickly. "Stop! Lower your swords," Naruto said as he walked up Tyrion. "I said lower your swords." "We don't take orders from you," one of the knights said. "Kat, stop this," Naruto told her and he went up to her. "Naruto, he murdered Bran, it was his dagger," Kat said. "Just because it was his dagger doesn't mean he did it. He has no motive behind trying to kill Bran. I received some new information that may show us who the killer is, but I need Tyrion to help us and taking him prisoner is not helping," Naruto said, not wanting to tell her about Cersei and Jaime to prevent her from declaring war against the Lannisters. "Who then?" Kat asked. "I don't know, but I will find out, but you need to trust me, please," Naruto said, not wanting Kat to know in fear that if she knew she would do something rash. Kat didn't like the idea. "I have been with you and Ned for years and I have never steered you wrong. I am asking you to trust me here and have some faith," Naruto begged as Kat thought for a second. "All right, we'll do this your way," Kat said. "You heard him, lower your weapons," she ordered as they did and Tyrion exhaled in relief. "Thank you for that, Naruto," Tyrion said. "My pleasure, but I would ask the extension of your stay in the north for a while to clear up some matters," Naruto's clone said. Line break XXXXX. Naruto was with Sansa still in the stands as Ned joined to watch the next two jousters after dissuaded Robert from riding, part because he was the king and no one would dare hurt him and the other because he was too fat for his armor. Naruto had to admit, Robert really let himself go. Naruto was lucky that not only he was in good shape from his training but thanks to Kurama and Kami, when he was sent to Westeros, he didn't really age that much. He pretty much looked the same as when he first came here, maybe a few years older and more defined and mature facial features, but that's about it. He got more mature, but he was still an idiot, at least that's what Kurama tells him. The crowd cheered as the mountain rode down the jousting court to the center stage to bow to the king. Ned looked around and noticed Arya missing. "Where is Arya?" "At her lessons," Sansa said. She then saw the next joust rider, the Knight of the Flowers, she said as they saw Loras Tyrell, one of the most skilled knights in the land, ride up to them. He rode up to Ned and Naruto and handed a rose to Sansa. "Thank you, Sir Loras," she said as Loras nodded to her, then looked up at Renly, who nodded him to get into position. Loras then rode up to the king and bowed, but the mountain's horse began to act erratically. The horse was neighing and moving rather erratically as Loras smiled, while the mountain got control over his horse and rode to his corner. Both knights grabbed their shields and lances as they readied to joust. "Don't let Sir Gregor hurt him," Sansa said as she grabbed her father's arm. "I can't watch." 100 gold dragons on the mountain, Bellish said to Renly. "I'll take that bet," Renly replied. "Now what will I buy with 100 gold dragons? A dozen barrels of Dornish wine, or a girl from the pleasure house of Lee," Bellish said. "You can even buy a friend," Renly said. "He's going to die," Sansa said to her father, not wanting to see another murder. "Sir Loras rides well," Ned said. The horn sounded as the two riders rode toward one another. The mountain's horse was still acting strange, and this gave Sir Loras the advantage, and he was able to spear and knock the mountain off his horse. "Such a same, little finger. Would have been so nice for you to have a friend," Renly told him. "And tell me, Lord Renly, when will you be having your friend?" Lord Bellish asked, as he pointed to Sir Loras. The crowd cheered as Sir Loras rode to the king to soak in the adulation. Naruto noticed his demeanor before when he bowed to the king, and Kurama noticed a certain smell from the horse. Loras knew his mare was in heat. "Quite crafty, really," Naruto said as Sansa, Ned and Lord Bellish heard him. "Sir Loras would never do that. There's no honor in tricks," Sansa said. "No honor, but quite a bit of gold," Lord Bellish said. "I guess honor is dead," Naruto said. The mountain got back onto his feet and yanked off his helmet in anger. "Sword!" he yelled as Sir Loras rode to the king, waving. A squire ran to the mountain and handed him his sword, which he used to semi-decapitate and kill his horse to the crowd's shock. He then walks up to Loras and uses his sword to smack him off of his horse and onto the ground. The crowd was shocked to see the mountain attack him, but before the mountain could strike again or the hound could intervene, Naruto jumped from his seat and double spin kicked the mountain in the face, pushing him back. The crowd was in awe as they saw the skill at which Naruto protected Sir Loras. "Leave him be and stand down," Naruto ordered, but the mountain was undeterred. "Rog!" the mountain yelled as he charged at Naruto. Naruto ducked under the swipe to his head and stepped to the side as the mountain swung down. When the sword hit the ground, Naruto used his foot to keep the sword on the ground and delivered a right cross and then a knee to the face. The mountain growled in anger and used his strength to heave his sword up, causing Naruto to backflip away. Robert, Sansa, Ned and the crowd watched as Naruto fought against the mountain. The mountain then charged at Naruto again, but Naruto decided to end the fight. The mountain thrust his sword forward, but Naruto channeled his chakra into his hands and feet and caught the mountain's sword with his bare hands to the crowd's shock. He was able to catch the sword of the mountain. Naruto then kicked his knee up hard, and with a show of strength he broke the sword in half and then spin kicked the mountain in the face, pushing him onto his back. Naruto then drew his sword and held it at the mountain's face. "Naruto, enough!" Robert ordered as Naruto reluctantly sheathed his sword, and the mountain got up, furious, and walked away, but the city guards got in front of him. "Let him go," Robert said as the guards let the mountain leave. Robert and Ned looked at Naruto, who just shrugged his shoulders. The hound nodded to Naruto in respect and Naruto nodded back. Sir Loras got off the ground and walked to Naruto. "I owe you my life, Sir," Loras said. "I'm no Sir," Naruto said. Loras then grabbed Naruto's hand and held it up high as the crowd cheered at his bravery and skill. Sansa stood up and clapped, and so did Renly, while Ned just shook his head but smiled and clapped with the rest of the crowd. Loras held Naruto's hand up high as the crowd cheered for him over his victory against the mountain and for saving Sir Loras. Line break XXXXX. Back with Kat, Naruto's clone, and Tyrion, they had departed from the King's Road and were now on a dirt path somewhere else. They were not resting by a creek to rest their horses and rest themselves. Along with Tyrion was the man back at the inn who gave Tyrion his room, now known as Bronn. He was following Tyrion for some excitement and possibly more coin. Tyrion seemed confused at where they were. "Why are we here? I thought we were riding for Winterfell," Tyrion said to Naruto as they sat down to rest. A slight change of plans. We now ride for the Vale of Arryn. There are some matters that need to be cleared up, and I believe now that Winterfell is not so secret as I would like. Plus everyone would assume we would ride for Winterfell, but we won't, Naruto said as he handed Tyrion a pouch of wine. Ah, very clever, Tyrion said. But Tyrion, I apologize for what Lady Stark accused you of back at the inn, Naruto said. It's quite all right. I'm just glad someone doesn't think lower of me, Tyrion said. Lady Stark never did like the Lannisters, but she does care for her children as any mother should, and I've come to like you, Tyrion. And killing a Bran with your dagger doesn't make sense, Naruto said. At least someone in our company is smart enough to realize the facts. Although I'm not sure how my family will react to the little incident at the inn, Tyrion said. Hopefully we can settle this matter before any real damage can be done, Naruto said as Tyrion handed him back his pouch of wine, but then the musician of the company was hit in the face with a large rock. Then Hill tribe bandits attacked the group. Several were in the hills, using sling sleeves to hurl rocks while others had swords and charged. Stay low and don't move, Naruto said as he fired an arrow and killed a slinger. He moved Tyrion to the side and gave him a shield to cover himself as Naruto fired several more arrows in rapid succession, killing the slingers. Sir Roderick drew his sword and shield as he moved Cat to the rock cover as well. Some of the Winterfell guards were killed by the Hill tribe people, but then Bronn drew his sword. He blocked a slash and then stabbed the bandit in the neck and kicked him away. He then slashed the stomach of another bandit, and when a third bandit charged at him, he just threw him over his shoulder and stabbed him to the ground. Naruto shot 2 arrows, killing 2 more bandits as 3 charged at him. He drew his sword and ducked under a sword swipe, kicked a bandit in the chest, parried and blocked a slash, and then head-butted the third bandit and sliced his neck, killing him. The second bandit charged at Naruto, but Naruto cut off the bandit's sword arm and slashed his back. The first bandit was then skewered as Naruto thrusts his sword into the bandit's stomach. Tyrion then saw the cat was under attack, and even though a guard tried to stop the bandit, he was quickly killed, so Tyrion decided to act. He charged at the bandit and smacked him in the stomach with the shield, which caused the bandit to fall to his knees in pain. Tyrion then smacked the bandit in the face with the shield and continued to smack the bandit in the face, as blood spilled out his head. Sir Roderick killed another bandit, but one was able to slash at his back. Roderick stalled in pain for a bit, but then shield smashed him in the face and Naruto threw a shuriken into his head, killing him. Bronn then slit the throat of the final bandit as all of the Wild Tribe bandits were dead and several of the Stark guards were killed as well. Bronn grabbed his sword and sheathed it as Naruto looked around, making sure there weren't any more as Roderick groaned in pain. Roderick, Cat said, "I'll be fine, my lady. There's no need to bloody yourself," he said. "You're first?" Bronn asked Tyrion as Tyrion nodded. "You need a woman." "Nothing like a woman after a fight," Bronn said as they looked at Cat. "Well, I'm willing if she is," Tyrion joked as Bronn laughed and Naruto walked by. "Gather our supplies and be quick. Let's get out of here," Naruto said as everyone nodded. Back in King's Landing, Arya was chasing cats for part of her training while Naruto was off doing work. Ned was in his study talking with Lord Varys. "How is your son, my lord?" Varys asked as he shut the window. "He's doing better. Naruto was lucky enough to save him before anything bad could happen," Ned said as he signed some papers. "But his mind is sound," Varys said. "So they say," Ned said as he saw Varys close another door. "A blessing then. I suffered an early mutilation myself. Some doors remain closed forever, others remain open in the most unexpected of places," Varys said as he closed the door. "May I?" Varys said as he pointed to the chair. Ned nodded and Varys sat down. "If the wrong ear heard what I'm about to tell you, off comes my head." And who would mourn poor Varys then? North or south, they sing no songs for spiders. But there are things you must know. You are the king's hand and the king is a fool, Varys said as Ned was surprised to hear that. "Your friend I know, but a fool. And doomed unless you save him. I've been in the capital a month." "Why have you waited so long to tell me this?" Ned asked. "I didn't trust you," Varys said. "Why do you trust me now?" Ned asked. "The queen isn't the only one who has been watching you closely. There are few men of honor in the capital. You're one of them," And I would like to consider myself one of them, strange as it may seem. Varys said. What sort of doom does the king face? Ned asked. The same sort as Jon Arryn. The tears of Lee they call it. A rare and costly thing. It's clear and tasteless as water. It leaves no trace. Varys said as Ned thought for a second. Who gave it to him? Ned asked. Some dear friend, no doubt, but which one? There were many. Lord Arryn was a kind and trusting man. There was one boy, all he owed to Jon Arryn, Varys said. The squire, Sir Hugh, Ned said as Varys nodded. Pity what happened to him. Just when his life seemed to be going so nicely, Varys said. If Sir Hugh poisoned him, who paid Sir Hugh? Ned asked as Varys didn't have an answer. Someone who could afford it, Varys said. Jon was a man of peace. He was hand for 17 years, 17 good years. Why kill him? Ned asked. He started asking questions. Varys said. Arya had followed the cat throughout the palace and she had found her way to the dungeon under the castle where many of the great dragon skulls were kept. She walked to the skull, marveling at the size, but then she heard people talking. Then a pair of hands reached out and grabbed her and she would have screamed, but her mouth was covered. She looked to see it was Naruto who grabbed her and he was motioning her to remain quiet and she nodded. Naruto then let her go and placed a recording seal on a dragon tooth and put some blood on it to activate it. We will be at war soon, my friend. Varys said. What good is war now? We're not ready. If one hand can die, why not the second? Magister Illyrio said. This hand is not the other. He is more resilient, not to mention that blonde-haired bodyguard of his will become a great nuisance in the future. Varys said. We need time. Khal Drogo will not make his move until his son is born. You know how these savages are. Magister Illyrio said. Delay these savages. This is no longer a game. Varys said as they kept walking and were out of hearing range. Arya slowly stepped out as Naruto stepped out with her and grabbed his recording seal. Ha, got you, you spider. Naruto said as he pocketed the seal. Come on, Arya. Let's go. Naruto said as he led Arya back to the palace. In the throne room, Lord Baelish was staring at the thrones as Lord Varys entered the room. The first to arrive and the last to leave. I admire your industry, Varys said. You do move quietly, Lord Baelish said. We all have our qualities. Varys said. You look a bit lonely today. You should pay visit to my brothel this evening. First whore is on the house, Baelish said. I think you are mistaking business with pleasure, Varys said. Am I? All those birds that whisper in your ear. Such pretty little things. Trust me, we accommodate all inclinations, Baelish said. Oh, I'm sure. Lord Varys said as the two discusses the secrets and logistics of their business. The two spy masters of King's Landing discusses and played a little game of words and lies and secrets as the two discussed the various pieces of knowledge they knew. They then had to go to the small council meeting because King Robert would be coming. Naruto was able to get Arya back into the palace and she asked what was going on. Naruto told her to stay in her room and don't leave unless her father or a loyal Stark bodyguard got her. She nodded as Naruto left to find Ned. He did, but the two were quickly whisked away to the council meeting with Robert. Apparently, it was a matter of great importance, concerning the Targaryens. The whore is pregnant, Robert told Ned and Naruto. You're speaking of murdering a child, Ned said. I warned you this would happen, back in the north. I warned you but you didn't care to hear. Well, hear it now. I want them dead, mother and child both. And that fool Viserys as well, is that plain enough for you? I want them both dead, Robert told Ned. You'll dishonor yourself forever if you do this, Ned said. Honor? I've got 7 kingdoms to rule. 1 king, 7 kingdoms. Do you think honor keeps them in line? Do you think it's honor keeping the peace? It's fear, fear and blood, Robert said. Then we're no better than the Mad King, Ned said. Careful, Ned, careful now, Robert said. You want to assassinate a little girl, because the spider heard a rumor, Ned said. No rumor, my lord. The princess is with child, Varys said. Based on whose information? Ned asked. Ser Jorah Mormont, Varys said. And Magister Illyrio, isn't that right, Varys? Naruto said as the others were confused and Varys tried to keep a cool head. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't understand. Lord Varys said, try trying to keep up the charade. The spider has been out-tricked by the fox. You've met with Magister Illyrio, supporter of House Targaryen, and have been working with him to wage war against Westeros. You want the Targaryens to retake the throne and you would kill Ned to do it. Naruto shouted as he threw a seal on the table and it activated and played the message he recorded. We will be at war soon, my friend. Varys said. What good is war now? We're not ready. If one hand can die, why not the second? Magister Illyrio said. This hand is not the other. He is more resilient, not to mention that blonde-haired bodyguard of his would become a great nuisance in the future. Varys said. We need time. Khal Drogo will not make his move until his son is born. You know how these savages are. Magister Illyrio said. The message played as Naruto smirked. Varys was shocked and so were the other council members, and Robert was furious. You traitorous cunt, Robert yelled as he punched Varys to the ground. My lord, let me explain. Guards, take this man to the dungeons. I will have his head soon enough. Robert yelled as 2 guards came in and dragged Varys away. Naruto smiled, knowing that the spider was put away and that any attempt to conspire was foiled, but Jorah was still in Essos. Traitorous bastard, trying to deceive me, Robert yelled. Well, now this doesn't bode well. The Targaryen girl is with child, Pycelle said. And when she has a son, a Targaryen at the head of a Dothraki army, what then? Robert asked. Despite the traitor, he has given us a perfect opportunity. We can kill her now before they have a chance to come here. The narrow sea still lies between us. I'll fear the Dothraki when they teach their horses to ride on water, Ned said. Do nothing. That's your wise advice. Do nothing until our enemies are at our shores. Robert yelled in anger. You're my counsel. Speak sense to this honorable fool. I bear this girl no ill will, but should the Dothraki invade, how many innocents will die? How many towns will burn? Is it not wiser, kinder even, that she should die now so that tens of thousands might live? Pycelle said. We should have had them both killed years ago. Renly said. When you find yourself in bed with an ugly woman, it's best to close your eyes and get it over with. Cut her throat, be done with it, Bellish said. Ned then walked up to Robert. I followed you into war, twice. Without doubts, without second thoughts. But I will not follow you now. Subscribe for part 2.